Welcome everyone to this vibe coding extravaganza. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Hey everybody. So welcome to the very first stream. Hi Simon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Had a lovely restful weekend so far. Is it about to get stressful? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Let's hope not. So let me pull this one up. So for all the people who are already here, today I will be attempting in vibe coding, which is kind of the hot stuff right now. We're gonna vibe code a game in Flutter, and we're gonna try to, like, my goal is to not write a single line of code myself. I cannot promise if that is going to be the case, but at least most of it is going to be AI generated. Do you have any questions, Simon? Are you up for a challenge? Do you want to see me succeed/fail?
I'm happy to see what happens. I want to know what happens. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I think we spoke of this before, but I once tried to do like coding with just one of those voice input bits of software.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. It's really hard to say like left bracket, open parentheses.
Oh yeah.
This variable, that variable, semicolon. Like, it just takes forever to do anything. So we'll see how fast we can get the AI to correct your mistakes, should we say, or correct its mistakes would be more apt, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, okay. So for the record, I didn't prepare any of the code. All I did was create an empty repository. I prepared some of the assets, and not all of them. We're gonna have people watching, voting, and giving opinions on what cards we should add. But I have some of the game mechanics down. Like, I have an idea of what's gonna be that I will share in just a minute. But honestly, pretty much everything else is open. I don't think we're gonna be done today, pretty sure. So there's gonna be room for kind of everybody giving their feedback and seeing where this game goes. Bit of context, I've been a huge AI person lately. I had lots of fun. It has its kind of, I wouldn't say downside, it has its limitations where you just need to know where maybe it doesn't make sense to use AI and where it makes more sense to do it by hand. But I feel like there are so many opportunities and use cases to use AI to build cool software. And that's what I kind of want to share today. Also, for people who've been following me may have seen I'm working on this AI IDE kind of cursor for Flutter thing that I just wanted to use more myself. I've been building a bunch of tools for Flutter, and I just want to do more Flutter itself again. So this is kind of a great opportunity for me to use my own tool to see how well it works. And in the meantime, I want to build a nice and fun game. Like, I think this could be genuinely fun, but let's see. So any questions, Simon, or from the audience?
I was going to say, is there a repo link that we can post for people to follow on, or do you want to wait till the end, or what?
Not yet. I didn't create the repo just yet. Maybe during the stream, and when we have a bit of stuff that kind of, like, when we're past the stage of just a blank screen, we'll set up a repo. I'm planning to do a CI/CD automation where every time we do a push or a tag or whatever, when we have a new feature implemented, everybody watching will be able to check it out for themselves and kind of find bugs that the AI may or may not have produced. So that's going to happen later, and I will post it in chat and social media and wherever it is going to be. It's going to be open source. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun too.
Do you want to take us through the idea?
Yes. Okay. Yes, let's do it. So I got a Figma where I did a bunch of prototyping and kind of tried out different inspirations and ideas. It's a roguelike deck builder. That means you will, during the game, you will build up your deck with cards. And using those cards, you'll have a goal to acquire as many users as possible. You will, like, the details are still a bit to be fleshed out, but you'll have to acquire a certain amount of users during a certain amount of turns. If not, you fail and you restart the game. It's a deck builder, meaning you will progressively build up your deck to have stronger cards, to have better combos, to kind of go into a niche and some kind of theme. And a roguelike where every run is different, where you have upgrades which kind of upgrade from run to run. Two genres I really like. Some inspirations for people who may have already seen or played it, Balatro. I really like this game. It's a deck builder where you're playing poker, but like it's using the rules of poker, but it's completely own game. And some other deck builders like Slay the Spire, if people know that, etc. The theme is gonna be humorous app dev themed. So you're gonna be implementing features, you're gonna be doing marketing, you're gonna be fixing bugs, cleaning up, and maybe even pushing bugs to production, while trying to kind of maintain your sanity and reach the user goals. So the general game loop is you have cards in your hand, like with a typical deck builder. You draw cards at the beginning of your turn, then you have a certain amount of energy to spend. In this case, it's hours. And once the turn is up, the turn kind of plays itself. And to acquire users, the main theme is you need to play features and you need to follow that up with marketing cards. So the more features you play, the better the marketing cards are going to be. If you play too little features and you do too much marketing, maybe the multiplier isn't high enough. If you do lots of features, you may not have any time for marketing anymore, and the release kind of fails. That is kind of accompanied by cards like feature cards, which are these dark themed cards that don't really do anything on their own, kind of, but they are required for your marketing cards. For example, social media posts will give you 500 users for every marketing feature card you played before. There's utility cards, there's bug cards that you have to fix, which take time, and much, much more. I prepared a couple of cards, as you can see. I really like this one. This turned out really well. But we're gonna do way
more. Do you want to read it off? Do you want to just read it off?
Sure. Yeah, this card, Infinite Scroll. I find it very, like, I wanted to have it with a bunch of humor, so all the cards have some sort of flavored text. This one says, some say a user from 2023 is still scrolling to this day, and like a skeleton with a phone in its hand and still scrolling. So I'm trying to keeping it lighthearted and really encapsulating what it is to build apps nowadays. And that's kind of the general rule set. The details are very much yet to be decided, and I don't think we're gonna like have it all ready today. Maybe
we should maybe put together into this a little form that people can fill out. Maybe suggest their own cards or suggest their own thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's gonna be we'll set something up, maybe on like social media, forum or whatever. If you have any card ideas later during the stream, when we kind of discuss more of the gameplay and the things that we're planning, feel free to just post it in chat. I'll note it down, and we'll see if they make it to the game. Privacy policy that nobody reads. That's a good one. I really like. That's a good feature. That's gonna go on a list. Also, like, one of the kind of inspirations for this game was I suck at art. These cards are made in Figma, kind of. So these are components, but the illustrations are generated using GPT-4o, using a variety of prompting and a couple of techniques I played around. I really liked illustrations. Like, I would have never been able to get something that, in my opinion, looks quite decent ready without AI. So that's kind of that. Yeah. Should we get into it?
Let's get started. Sure.
Awesome. Cool. Let me pull this off. Oh, what is going on here? Okay. So, card game, Flutter. We're gonna be using pure Flutter. I'm not planning on using Flame for this right now, as they're like Flame is more geared towards game that have like a full-on game loop, that have a bunch of physics, bullets, and things flying around, animation sprite sheets. This game, I would compare it more to like a standalone app, like a standard app, where it's more UI centric. So I think we'll have a great time with just Flutter. And I actually had a prototype built like a year ago. That was a card game which turned out really well with just pure Flutter. So we're gonna be doing Flutter. So I think I should zoom in here, right? Simon, what do you think? Is this, how does this look? Cool. Yeah, I think this should be all right. Also, we're going to be using Vite, which is my AI IDE that I'm working on. The idea behind it is, first off, it gives your application a shell to kind of supercharge you with a lot of different productivity tools that I've already built in, but that I'm already also planning on doing. First off, it's just your application. So this is your typical counter application that you all know and love. But it also gives you this canvas view where you can look at widgets and isolations, test them. And it also has an AI built in, which is kind of fine-tuned towards Flutter, which we'll be using in combination with Cursor. Like my AI is pretty good for certain things. Other things are better done with Cursor. So we're going to use both. Simon, I think you were muted. If you said something.
I was muted.
Yes.
You heard me, right? No?
I didn't.
Oh, whoops.
You were muted.
I thought I'm muted. Never mind.
So let me just do.
Does Vibe mean Vibe plus IDE?
Actually, that's a really good thing it could mean. It was the first name that came to my mind. Like whenever I start a new project, I try to not think too much about the name because I can always change it later. So it kind of started as a visual IDE. So V IDE, and that's just pressed together. It was Vite.
Yeah, now it means that.
Exactly. So it turned out the domain was 3. That was before kind of the term vibe coding was coined. And then vibe coding came around. I'm like, that kind of fits. So that's kind of the origin behind it. So let me just commit, initial commit. Let's just do the first initial commit so we have it all version control, so we're not going to mess up anything. So what are we going to start with? I think we're building a card game. So a sensible first thing to do is implementing cards. So obviously we're not going to do that by hand. So by the way, for the model, I will start with the auto select, which is kind of the cheapest and the one that gets like basics done. Whenever we have something that kind of requires a bit more intelligence, we're going to switch to Gemini 2.5, which is considerably more expensive, but like it's great. So we're going to be using mostly that. If it is struggling with anything, I might be switching over to Claude 3.7, the max model, which is also a very, very solid model. So yeah, typically you could start with like an empty skeleton or you could do it by hand, but let's remove the comments first. This is kind of the level of vibe coding we're going to do. We're not going to go in there and remove the comments ourselves. It's going to clean it up. Okay, let's start with the card.
Your camera has gone completely blurry now.
Oh, shit. Let me see what I can do about that.
We always turn the cameras off.
Shall we turn it off? Give me 1 sec. Camera.
Now we're not distracting people with our silly faces.
Oh, that works. Anyway, so we have our first official AI change. It just removed all comments. So yeah, I think the first sensible thing to do is starting with cards. And for that, let's think about what a card really is. For this, let me just pull up the Figma real quick, and we can zoom in a card and then start describing. Let's describe what we're doing. We are working on a card game in Flutter. And then, I mean, first thing is create a skeleton structure this game /app. The first thing I really like to do when starting a new project without going into all the widgets, all the UI and design is very first create some sort of model and domain. By the way, what AI plugin? It's Cursor. It's a fork of VS Code that has built-in AI, very similar to things like RuCode, Klein. VS Code itself has an agent mode. IntelliJ has one. I'm just using Cursor. Yes. So create a skeleton structure, create a card model first. So in our card model, we're gonna have cards do have a name. Do we want to have the name in there? So we're gonna export the cards as images, just so we have more creative freedom in Figma itself. But I think it still makes sense to have the name in there for various purposes.
So the question here is, would you have it as a dynamic? So these layouts for the cards, obviously there's bits of the cards that change. Do you want them as the fields and then we render it in Flutter as like, it fills it all in, or do you want the entire card to be separate images, right?
I was thinking about it, and I think for beginning, we're just gonna have it as static images. There's nothing planned where the card itself is gonna change. And if it is, like, if it's only a few variations, it's probably easier to just manage them in Figma because you have like all of the creative freedom without having to touch code. If it becomes too dynamic and we have like lots of calculations in there, we're gonna switch to like rendering them ourselves. But in here, it's just nice to have all the fonts and all the things in an image. So let's input a name. We're gonna have a type. So the type is either marketing feature, utility, or bug. We're gonna have an so yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention. It disappeared into either. Yeah, I'm back.
He's back with AI.
We're gonna have like the main core of the game is these two phases. You have like your on-play effects that happen when you play the card. For example, if you play a feature, this feature, for example, you draw another card. This is for your turn. It may give you energy, it may give you cards, it may do other things. And then you have the resolve, which is kind of happening when the turn is over. And that's where you typically get all your users. So for example, all these effects and kind of things I just came up with, they're in no way final. But typically marketing cards would have like a resolve effect that gives you users for every feature played. And it can have more intricate effects too.
This pops up, I like this one.
Who knows what happens to the intern? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. That could be a nice utility card. Having the intern. Yeah, well, yeah, I think I'll note them down later. I'll just go through the chat when we're at that point.
Apparently you misspelled skeleton in your second.
Skeleton, indeed. But yeah, like also the thing with vibe coding is like, it doesn't matter how you type it. If you only type half of the words, or like, if you just talk in emojis,
right? Yeah.
it kind of works. I'll try my best to keep coherent sentences, but like you don't want to see me when I'm actually vibe coding. I just type it in there without looking twice, and it's really good in kind of forgiving you your mistakes. Cool. So we have a type. We have resolve effects, and we have like the play effects. I think for now, just keeping it simple to have some UI rendered, we're just going to have it as a string and not implement any callback mechanism or whatsoever. We will probably substitute that later on. So we have a string on resolve, a string on play. We have time taken, integer in ours. We have a flavor text. Yeah, that's it. And let's see what happens.
Oh, I like this one. I like this one. How much of Vide was vibe coded?
That's a very good question. I mean, it's a matter of what you define as vibe coding. If vibe coding is you just write the prompt and you never look at the code again, then pretty much nothing. If it's a lot of it was AI generated, but it was under very like harsh observation, and whatever change it made, I actually looked at and fixed if there was anything wrong. But like I'm using AI for pretty much everything. I find it especially for kind of isolated tasks. I really like to have a pattern where if I'm building a feature, I mean, that's just general software best practices to have like some kind of service or manager class. So if you give it a very rigid definition of what the class should be, of potentially what tests it should pass, AI is amazing in that. Like those cases are really, really good. Okay, so what is happening over here? So it's creating a model. It's doing a bunch of other things. Okay, actually, let me just switch over to Gemini. Let's just keep using Gemini. That's a very good model. So we have a card type, which is looking good. A game card, on play, game card. Nice, that's looking pretty good. Wasn't that difficult of a task. Let me keep this open. I should be able to reload. Did it actually not change this? Game screen. Let me reset whatever was going on. It's been open for a while. Cool. Okay, we're using Gemini. So while that is opening, let's actually export some of the cards. So let me just grab this one. Let me grab this one. Let me grab, I think I messed up the background color over here, but we can fix this. Cool. We can export this one, so we have one of each type. Buggy commit. I don't really like this card, to be honest. It turned out to, I don't know, but we can have it in there for like first bug card. Export this one, and this one's pretty fun. No issue. It's a feature, not a bug. That's a very good counter to features, of course, to bugs. I mean, so let's clean this up. Cool. Yes, cards. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to look at chat too. So if there's anything that I don't see right away. Okay, cool. Yeah, just let me know if there's anything for me to look at. So let's just move these cards in here. Okay, I wasn't perfectly honest. I did one thing. I created this folder before and registered it in the pub spec. That's what I kind of did in this project. 24, 25, 26. We have 23 and 22. Okay, these are the cards. Just do a quick rename. Actually, I was about to rename them myself, which would have been a sin. What we can do is we can take these cards, put it into the chat. It can actually look at images, and we can tell it to please rename these cards to their title name. Okay, I'm really curious if this is going to work out, but it should have. It has access to command line. It can take a look at the images. Yeah. I mean, I was this close to breaking my rule.
That's nice. I like that.
Do you think that an app is publishable that was coded with AI? Oh, for sure. I mean, AI is just a tool. What I don't think is if you try to one-shot apps where you just put in, please create Spotify for me. That's going to turn out not so great probably. But if you start with AI, iterate, give feedback to it, fix bugs. I mean, AI is just a tool, and at some point you're giving it so much input that you're fixing a bunch of things. Okay, let's run this. Awesome. Oh, hashtag. Let's.
Well, the title has a hashtag in it, so you know.
Yeah, let's not use special symbols and use underscores. Cool. Merge conflict card. You lose a turn to play. My local is fine while you're yelling. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Hide the dog. Yes. Let me see if I can do that. Displays. How do you hide the dog? Simon, do you have
right click on the dog?
Turn hiding on. Oh, that was easy. Why don't you use Claude 3.5? I like the other ones. I've used 3.5 a lot in the past, and 3.7 is, I feel like, just a bit smarter. Okay, it's use underscores here too. 3.7 is just a bit smarter, and Gemini 2.5, it just feels like so powerful. 3.5, I feel like is really good in following what you tell it to. 3.7 in Gemini, I'd like to kind of go off. Yeah, you tell it to change the color of a button, and it then implements authentication for you because it saw you have it to do. So it kind of likes to go off the rails and do more, which honestly sometimes is quite nice to see that it's actually implementing things that you didn't think about. But sometimes maybe too much. But overall, it's pretty good. Sunday
It is
vibe.
great.
Yeah.
Sunday vibe.
It is indeed. Okay, cool. So we have the cards in here. And now we can begin with the fun. So one cool feature I want to show off before looking into chat is Vite itself also has an AI built in. Currently, it's configured to use 3.7, but it can change, or I think it's 3.7. The cool thing, kind of the system prompt and the way it's built, it's already conditioned to implement the widgets in a certain way and also put them into the canvas. So what we should be able to do is please check the assets and create card widgets that render the cards and put them onto the canvas. Fingers crossed. I haven't really tested assets and if it's able to kind of see them, but let's see what happens. So this is kind of, we're going to switch between Cursor's AI and like Vite's AI that I built. It doesn't support too many fancy features as like the git diffs that Cursor does for you before giving you the option to accept or not. So it's a bit more limited right now, but it is pretty powerful because honestly, it's just using a more expensive model. It's giving more context and it's kind of being less conservative when it comes to tokens than Cursor is. While that is going on, what state management? State management, it's going to be pretty simple. I made the experience that you probably don't want to do too much of the MVVM block, whatever pattern, because games are very, how to say, very animation heavy, lots of things going on. So there's going to be a bunch of stateful widgets that we're going to control with global keys. This is super useful for just animation. So if you have a card and we want to make it pop and like have some sort of visual indication, we're just going to use a global key with the ID of the card or so. Apart from that, okay, let's see. This is still going on. Apart from that, we'll just see what we need. I mean, I like to start simple, and when it becomes kind of more complicated, we can switch to whatever we need. State management AI will choose. I mean, I will try to guide it into a direction, so I'm not letting it completely off the rails and just do whatever you want.
Just tell it to invent its own and see what happens.
It's gonna be kind of a guided experience. But we can check out what Vite AI is generating here. And we'll see in a minute. It's gonna put it onto the canvas while that is going on. Generally trying to take someone's job. Honestly, I mean, at the current state, it's very capable, but it can really run into issues where it's just not able to get out itself. So you need somebody like, I like to think and say that you have to, okay, something happened. So remember, this is all live and stuff might break. That AI is kind of great if you know what you're doing already, because it's really important for you to distinguish between like good code or something that's bad. If you have no idea what's going on, it works great for one shots and like the first couple of iterations, but at some point it's just all gonna break, and then you are gonna be stuck. On the other hand, if you know what you're doing and you can guide AI, you can fix whatever it did, and you eliminate technical debt before it kind of accumulates, it's really, really powerful. Okay, let's see. Card deck. Oh my god, it did way too much. Game card widget. Okay, it completely went off the rail. Okay, so I think we weren't clear enough for it to use the assets. So it tried to create the cards itself, but this is fine. We can switch. I like to switch over to cursor in this case because we can give it more specific context. Kind of that aspect isn't fully implemented in Vi just yet. So what I like to do is I like to open a new chat. Just take these, and then so how Vi basically works is it creates this folder where it has a bunch of code that binds your widget, and in here we're just
gonna say that there's a good point here, and that is, always check in, always commit, so that when you run the AI and it messes something up, you can revert back.
Yes, exactly. So let's change the approach. We do not want to render the cards ourselves, but use the assets cards. So yeah, that's also a thing we forgot in our models, is we didn't have an asset path. And that's probably also why it got really confused, because how should it know which card to use? Add a new field, which is the asset path for the card to use. Okay, then I also like to do, we can do a copy relative path. These are the assets. Use ls and other tools to examine. They are already. Okay, so we have all of this done. Cool. What else do we have? Where it takes on relying on AI too much and ending up forgetting how to actually code. I mean, it depends on how good AI is and kind of to what extent. If you look at kind of how people used to write software and code 10, 20, 30 years before, it was completely different. So I think there's going to be some shift, and you probably won't need to know all the details that you need to know now, which is, I think, in certain cases a good thing. But I mean, just... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, just on top of what you just said there, right? Like it wasn't too long ago that all software was written in assembly, hand coded assembly, right?
Yeah.
And then we got compilers, and then we kind of got like high level languages, and it's like who codes in assembly anymore? There is plenty of people that still do, because we still have reliance on that level of access to the machines, right? For very specific tasks. But at the same time, as most application level development, as in most high level development, is using a high level language. And I think we'll probably see the same sort of shift in terms of AI.
Exactly. And honestly, I think it's a great thing, because right now it's still very, like, I wouldn't say important, but it's a benefit of knowing assembly, and kind of, you don't have to know all the instructions, but if you know how it works, you have like a deep understanding of the system. So overall, it benefits you from knowing the details, but like not knowing the details, but knowing the layers below. But you don't need to know all the details anymore. Like, I don't know all the ARM instructions or x86 instructions. I know the theory behind them, but that's just, you have so much more time to focus on more important things. And I think that's the same with AI, for example. You don't need to know how to, I don't know, correctly define a callback anymore, but you need to know what a callback is, for example. And to a certain degree, I think that's really, really useful. But of course, there is a kind of the danger that people are gonna know less, and kind of the quality may shrink. that's kind of a thing that could happen. But well, before we look at other questions, we have the cards ready. Marketing, yes. So we have the cards in here. So this is pretty cool. What I like about Viet is you can just put all your widgets onto the canvas, and whenever we change stuff, we can just move them around. I want it to be like Figma for developers, where you don't have to use your application as if you were a user. For example, this is what the AI did before. It would be cumbersome to kind of create a debug screen and move around and see what, like, we don't want to use this. By the way, we're gonna build it for desktop mostly. So this better. Oh, the actual layout is kind of what we're going for. So we're gonna optimize it for desktop, mobile when we have time. Cool. We have the cards in here. So what else did it do? Let's check out the card hand. Interesting. So just put 3 cards next to each other. Okay, interesting. Not really something we need as of right now, but it's definitely nice to see that it did that. We can actually use this because we need a hand of cards. So let's check out the code. It's a stateful widget. And it is calculating the total width based on the card width. I think that honestly, that's fine. I mean, what we can do is add a slide bend to resemble holding cards more. I want it to be, if we open up the Figma, oh, where did my dog go? There it is. I wanted it to be kind of like this. So this is kind of going to the right direction. But let's see. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, there's a few
Do you
things.
think AI can do animations such as these? Yeah, for sure. I had like, overall, I feel like AI is awesome when it comes to making something look great. It's like you still have to kind of give it a direction, but you don't need to worry about like timings, small paddings too much anymore, because I feel like these modern AI models are just inherently good looking, kind of, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I like this one. We can check out the wrapper code with this button. I'll actually accept this one first, because for some reason it's adding like a big padding around it. Well, doesn't really matter. We have a hand of cards. So we have some cards. Let's check out what it did to. Okay, these cards are worthless. We can actually delete these. Card deck.
Anton says you haven't done a safety commit in quite a while.
Ooh, that's a good one. Implement, or actually, oh my god, I was about to write a commit message. Of course, we're gonna use AI for this. Cool. Whatever this means. Cool. I think we can delete the deck for now, because that isn't really important right now. Okay, so what else do we need? I think, Simon, what do you think would be a good next step? Okay, we could either do animations and kind of start in getting the hand ready. Like, I want to build nice widgets that we can reuse later. We want to have a hand where you can take out a card. We want to have a deck that you can, for example, shuffle. We want to have like animations and so on. We could do that. We could work on kind of our core game logic, where we have a controller that resolves states, that adds users, that does things. We could work on some more components, let me show you one of the components. This one, which is gonna reflect the hours you have during your sprint.
Right.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it might be nice. I think the animation stuff might take us away. I think it's what everyone wants, but I think it might take us away from actually getting something at least workable. If we get a good base going, animations can come later.
Yeah,
sad
that sounds
to say,
good.
I know, but I think it's that kind of thing. Though, if we get a good fundamental, we commit this, and then later on for the next show, at least everyone's kind of got that good fundamental base to work from if they want to tweak some things.
Okay. So I think then let's work on actually getting the widgets we just built onto like a screen and something that kind of resembles a game. We could also kind of start with like general UI. We will need a welcome screen, a game over screen, but I think that can come later. We're gonna have to use some logic and state management.
I mean, that's right. Yeah, let's build it and then just tell Cursor to animate it. Or, you know.
Exactly. Like that's a thing that I feel like doesn't really work too well, because if you just tell it to animate, make it pop, that actually works, but only as a polish. So for example, what I like to do is I have a widget or some screen, just give it to AI and tell it to make it better. And if it's actually better, which it is a lot of the times, it's nice. If not, then well, you can revert. But in this case, if we just tell it to add animations, I feel like it's gonna just go in a completely different direction to what we need. Exactly. Not really in terms of how it's going to look, but more in terms of how the API surface is going to be and how we want to interact with those things. So yeah, I don't think that's
very much. I think it's very much one of those things where, especially with AI prompt engineering, is be more specific around what you're asking,
exactly.
right? Because then it can make a better determination of what the end result is going to be, rather than like if you're very vague, then of course you're not going to get what you want, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's work on kind of the core game logic. We want to have like a controller that keeps track of what turn we're in, how many users we have, how many cards you have on your hand, and so on. So I think that's a great.
Is the eventual plan to network this up?
At the very beginning, no. Like we're just gonna have it.
I'm just saying that that does affect the way that you want to build the game, right?
Yes.
So it is one of those fundamental things. You go, okay, well, I need to make sure all the models are serializable. That there's a proper mechanic here for actually synchronizing data, right?
So let's say it this way. I will try to guide it in a direction that where it's actually good code, and that it should be easy to kind of serialize data. We're not going to pass too many hard references whatsoever, but like the game concept is meant to be more of a single player game. So I don't think we need to worry too much about multiplayer just now. But yeah, let's do the controller. So this is going to be a long prompt. We're going to be very specific on what we need and what we want. So let's create a game controller for our game. So one thing I actually did before, and like I didn't cheat, I used AI for it. I didn't write this by hand. I created a design doc in this game file that is completely AI generated. I mean, I did a lot of iterations. Also, the way I kind of designed the cards, I used GPT-4o and like gave it all the details and all the things that I wanted. And it generated 50 different cards. I iterated on a ton of different variations. I didn't like a lot. I liked some. And at some point I found a great card, and I used that to build the Figma and use the illustrations and so on. And the same with these things, with code, with documentation. We started off brainstorming, just me and GPT, thinking about the game. I liked some ideas it liked most of the ideas I had. Was always super excited. Yeah, that's excellent.
What's scary about it? You said we started brainstorming, me and my good friend ChatGPT.
I mean, we're good friends. I mean, yeah, I left
He's with me
Claude
every
behind.
day.
I left Claude behind a bit, so I was.
Claude, yeah, you're not my friend anymore. ChatGPT.
Yeah, I feel bad sometimes for using Gemini more now because I had a long history with Claude, but I mean that's how it is. For our game, here is the design.
I have long memories, you know that. The AIs always remember.
Exactly. So let's see this prompt for cards. Okay, this is kind of the game document that outlines the game. It contains things like you draw a total of 5 cards, then you get 3 energy called hours and all these things. Let's create a controller for our game. It should use a, how do we call it, controller pattern or it's probably going to be a value notifier because it holds a value and it just changes that, and every method will just copy over the value. Controller pattern.
Here's a question. So prompt engineering is of no use without having underlying information.
Exactly. Like, I don't think we're going to get far with this project if we just tell it to, we want a roguelike card deck builder, then it's going to just, I don't know, like, I think we can get pretty far, and it can look cool enough to show on social media and say, yeah, I one-shotted this application, I'm going to be rich now, whatever. But I feel like if you want to get the most out of it, you just have to be very specific. And I feel like you just have so much more time to spend on like the really important questions and things. We don't have to worry about writing semicolons and functions, but we have to worry about the architecture and design. So I think that's really, really the power, where it gives you more time to focus on important things rather than kind of the details. Okay, let's...
I just want to answer this one here. Carry on with what you're doing. Someone says, Simon, I'm scared to use AI like Gemini code assist. Will it steal my code? So to be clear, it doesn't work that way, right? So it doesn't. Every time you type something into an AI, it doesn't magically learn that for everyone else. What you're actually experiencing here is like there's a context window. So it's learned. The LLM has a learned model. That takes a long time to learn that model, right? A lot of math goes into making that model. And it runs that model, and on top of that, it can use your input as the context. So what Norbert's typing here is part of that context window. It gets fed into the AI along with the contents of the file that is just referenced, and then it understands what all this means, reference the LLM model that it's got. So when you type something in, it's not learning from that directly, right? Now, that's the caveat to this, and that is depending on the service that you're using. So, for example, Gemini might have a policy. I don't think it does, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you, and I wouldn't presume to give legal advice. But the point here is that they might have a Gemini or Google or Cursor, ChatGPT, Claude, whoever's running that AI model might have a model where they say, we're going to record all of the input into our AI model and the output that it gives so we can better improve our model. So it will learn in that regard, right? So they will gather up all that information, reteach their model, so that next time it's better on those replies. The difference between that is it's not a direct one-for-one, right? Like it's not going to spit out your code for someone else, right? However, that's all about the privacy implications of using these services. It's not an AI LLM model, but the services themselves. So you can find that some services have a privacy mode, or you pay them money and they won't capture your data. Like there's lots of different services and models out there. Also, the other side of this is get yourself a spare GPU or whatever, however you want to do it, and run it locally, right? Like a lot of people run LLMs locally now as well. They've got some pretty good, reasonably sized models that you can actually run on some half decent graphics cards. So, yeah, you can do a lot without actually having to worry about privacy too much. But yeah, check the terms and conditions, as they say, right? Check all the policies.
Yep.
What they say they're going to do with your data that you put in. Sorry, go on, Norbert.
Cool. I just saw another question. Are we going to make the game responsive? Not right now. We're going to start with desktop just to keep it simple. Generally, deck builder games are better suited for desktop devices because they take up kind of cards and there's certain things going on. But we will definitely optimize it for mobile at some point. But I just want to get...
I'm also going to caveat this, right? And say that when a app developer builds an app, they're building it for their main use case first. So let's say your app is a tablet app. Well, you're going to build the tablet version first. That's your primary. That's the one you care the most about getting right. But then you'll have to say, I want it to work on mobile. So then you make that tablet product work on mobile. So you make it responsive in that direction. This is the same thing that happens here, right? So in terms of it's a desktop first product, and then later on we can go, okay, let's make it work on tablet or phone if we so want to use it there. You don't go into an app going, I'm going to make it work on everything, because practically you don't get a good finish on any one of them, right? You want to get a good final product on one of them and then port it to the other platforms. Or
exactly.
the other.
I mean, At the end of the day, you want to have something that works for some people rather than have something that works for everybody, but nobody's using it. So better to have something out there that kind of is good.
I will say the caveat to this is if you're working a big team where you've got a design team, they actually put the thought in up front to actually design the interface of the product in multiple different form factors. Then you can code for those form factors all at once because you have the known state. Like the thought has gone into how things react and be responsive ahead of time. Then therefore you can just code it, right? So there's just throwing it out there as well. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so let's just quickly talk about this prompt. So we have some more time. Thanks for giving me some time to write this. So basically, I outline what we want to do. We want to have our controller that takes care of like the core of the game state. The cool thing about this pattern is that we can very easily unit test this. Like we can put in, we have all the cards, all the effects. We can set up a unit test where all the cards are in play and then we resolve and so on. So it's just general Flutter best practices. I explained to it kind of the things that I want to have in there. I explicitly mentioned this is non-exhaustive, like I may have missed something. And it should ask me, like, I feel like especially the Gemini model is really good with asking you questions before just going off. So just often it actually asks you before going off, but just making sure and giving it a please ask me really helps. I saw a question, caps and underscore. Honestly, I'm not sure. This really isn't a science. And I've seen a lot of prompt engineering and like system prompts using underscores and caps. And I think it's generally the same with people. If you want to make sure that it really follows that specific thing, just making it in caps or underscore is just, I feel like that kind of helps. But
you can also, sorry, I stepped away there for a second. I suppose you could also, I've done this before with prompt engineering. You can say everything between underscores you should treat as this, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then so that you can show that it should denote and think about things differently in the input that you give it. For example, you could say something like everything in between backticks treat as a shell command. Show me the output of that shell command, right? Like, and it might even show the output to you.
Let me send this off. So yeah, not a real science, but I just like to use this. I also reference the game.md, which contains more information, but even that is not really fully working. So let's see what it came up with. Thank you. Yeah, it's always important. Like whenever AI kind of takes over, was inspired by a comment before from.
You must please your AI overlords when they arise.
Exactly. So just saying thank you sometimes, or like right now I'm using kind of the most expensive model. So if you check this out, it's costing 5 cents per request and per tool call. So what this means is whenever I send off a message, it's 5 cents. And also when it is kind of reading or writing a file, it's another 5 cents. So it's kind of expensive, but like it's worth it. And just saying thank you it's good manners, right?
So let's say you spend $50 a day on using this AI, and you're being paid say $200 a day. You're still $150 up.
True. Okay, so let's just quickly check this out. Read the design before I structure game controller and game state, which is good. Card representation. How should we represent the card? Good question. Would a class with properties like ID, name, cost, on play effects, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so first, what I like, it asks a couple of questions. So we can say, there is card dot dart. Deck hand rules. Document says cards, draw cards until your hand has a total of 5. Does it mean 5 is the maximum card hand? No, there could be more cards by play.
Apparently, Flutter also said they work on Dreamflow, which I'm guessing their AI thing. I don't know what it is. Seemingly changed single words to caps, altered improved results drastically.
Yeah, maybe like for Vite, I have a system prompt, and I just recently experimented and changed stuff up, and I actually moved away from using too much caps, and it seemed to perform pretty well. I think if you have like extensive benchmarks and you have like rigorous test cases, it may help, but it's kind of weird. Like modern AIs are hard to measure if it's really better or not. There was the new model by Facebook who the model was winning in, what was it called, LLM Arena, I think, which is the site where different models compete against each other by having users rate which of different models like feels best. And it turned out they trained the model to be like more likable on that site. So it had a great score on LLM Arena, but it didn't really deliver that much on like generic tasks. And it's always hard to measure what really is intelligent. Is one approach really better than another, or is it just different? Is it maybe better for somebody and somebody else thinks it's worse? So I feel like it's kind of hard to measure that. But yeah, like at the end of the day, it's just I would just try stuff out and just stick with what works. Like try something, if it works, don't change it until it doesn't work anymore.
Until they change the model on you.
Exactly. There could be more cards by playing cards that have draw effects. What happens when the deck runs out of cards during draw? Should the discard pile be shuffled back into the deck? That's a good question. Actually, in preparation to this live stream, I bought the game Dominion, which is kind of the OG deck builder, which I really enjoyed playing. And as far as I know, yeah, it reshuffles the deck into the discard pile. That's also a thing if we want to do that, because so that's kind of a dilemma I didn't really solve just yet. And I thought, okay, we're just going to wing it. Features can be played, and logically you implement the feature, but it doesn't really make sense if you implement the same feature twice. So should features be kind of burned off?
Yeah, I like that idea. But maybe because then you could also do something like leveled features, right? So you could have a set of features that you play in the first round, a set of features that you have to get out for the second round, so that you're kind of building on top of previous ones, right? So they're harder to earn or harder to play.
So let's say you have kind of themes, and the first time you play, like every theme is kind of a collection of different features, and every time you play the feature, it is shuffled back into your deck and transforms into like the next feature. For example, if you implement change button color as the first feature, then you get a new card, which is set up design system as a new feature that kind of builds on top. That could work. I should like that. There could be more cards. Discard pile should be. Box should come back if not discard. Exactly. Yeah, that's something I didn't mention yet. So kind of the idea was, and that also still needs a bit of fine-tuning, but some features or some things may result in you drawing bug cards, or maybe you have bug cards in your deck that you draw. And if you do a release while having a bug card on your hand, it's going to negatively affect the release. So you will have to try to spend time on fixing the bugs, which gives you no value whatsoever, but it reduces the negative effects. And there could potentially be archetypes of decks that kind of feast on bugs. Let's say some malware actually benefits from it, I don't know, trashing random files and so on. So there could be some sort of interaction where you may want to have bugs in your application. So I don't know, users try it. You could have your built-in public marketing card, which actually benefits from bugs because it gives you more reach and more kind of interaction. But yeah, that's a very good idea.
I was thinking, mate, I wonder if you could do something around crunch time on a project like that, like play caffeine cards or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Late night coding session, like knock out 5 bugs.
Yeah. You gain 3 hours each turn. Is there a maximum number of hours you can hold or you carry over if unspent accumulation hour limit when playing cards? Okay, so let's do it like this. There are cards / effects which can increase the maximum amount of energy or hours. Hours do not carry over. A turn should from now on be called a sprint. So we're completely sticking with the whole app dev theme. So let's stick to term hours. Awesome. Okay, let's knock out some more questions. Card lifecycle. When a non-bug card is played, does it go to the discard pile immediately after its on-play effect triggers or only after release action? Okay, so it goes into the sprint where it's in active play and will have its unresolved effects, if any, executed during release. Doc says discard during play. Okay, when a bug card is played, fix, where does it go? Discard pile removed from the game. Bug fixed should be removed. Where do cards that are played and waiting for the release action reside? And played and waiting for the release action reside. Should we have specific played cards, release area, or for time? Yes, exactly. It should be in the active sprint. Cool. We're knocking like this is hard work. Like
I was just going to say, once you've done this, you might be asking. It might be good to ask you to update the game design docs based on your
answers. There's also a cool thing we can do is set up a cursor rules file, which is going to be automatically included at some point if we have more of the architecture down. But that's a really good point to update this. Cool. Release action. The release action seems central. It should trigger unresolved effects, hand unplayed bugs, and discard play card. Yep. Initial state. What's the starting state? Turn 1, 0 users, 3 hours available, and the starter deck shuffled with 5 drawn into the hand. Yep. Management goal. Should the game state keep track of the current required user milestone based on the turn number? Yep. Answering these will help create a solid foundation for game control and game state. And let's send it off. Okay, wait, let's check if we have any missed questions. Yes, we are for sure. Actually, after we implemented this, we'll just tell it to write tests for it. And it's like, it's really nice to see it coming up with literally 20 to 30 test cases. And then it just executing them. Okay, let's thanks to the clear. Oh my God, so much to read. Can we just let it do its thing? But that's the thing, like you don't really want to skip on this part because these are really integral parts in kind of doing the game. Game state, sprint, current sprint number, users, required users, current hours, starting hours per sprint, deck, hand, discard pile, sprint backlog. Ah, that's a fun name. I like that. That's kind of the active sprint. Removed cards, copy with, initial state, construct, game controller, what's current game state, play card, hand, index, current moves come from hand to sprint backlog, fix bug, release. Yep. Private draw card, draw until, shuffle deck. Yep. Cool. Let's check. Repository, yes, it is. Probably after the stream, I will push it, and I think it's best. I think we're just gonna share it on Twitter, X, whatever, Blue Sky, and whatever social media we have. It's gonna be all out there. Different AI to summarize these questions. Yes, we can. I mean, it's already an AI. We can just tell it to ask those questions, but I think this is good to kind of have all these things coming in and clarifying what we really want. In a real world, how to best give back these questions to a product owner? I mean, it really depends on how far you want to take it. So there is this concept of an MCP that gives the AI access to whatever you want to give it access to. I saw there's a WhatsApp MCP. There is probably a Slack MCP. So if you want to take it that far and your product owner is fine with that, you could give like Cursor, whatever AI you want, access to your Slack, and it will just ping that person and wait for a response.
I just imagine now to come on the AI to send the product owner a message asking it the answer. You have it hooked up to your WhatsApp, so it comes from you.
Exactly. I mean, like we're laughing right now, but I don't see how this won't be like something that people are actually using in the future. I mean, why take the indirection if you have certain questions that can go right to the right person? Jira ticket for this. Not yet, not yet. I mean, we could have a Jira MCP and just give the AI all the tools to manage itself. But yeah, by the way, I think Ezra is also in the stream.
Yeah, Ezra, welcome.
Hey.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Technical difficulties.
Okay, no worries. Let's see. In the meantime, game state looks good. We have a starter deck that annotated with a to-do, initialize game, core actions. Honestly, it looks fine. It looks fine. Now, drawn to 5. Users gained, hand on resolve. Looks good to me. Let's commit this before moving on.
So hey mate, you're gonna get to okay.
Oh my god.
You put the commit message yourself. You could go revert commit, like that, So not revert it, but you could reset back one if you want.
Anyways.
No, I was gonna say that when you do that, is there actually like is the button in the end of on the commit message box, is that button at the end the AI button that generates it for you?
Yeah, this is from Cursor itself. Yep. I mean, I'm mixed about this because sometimes it just includes too much detail, sometimes it doesn't do enough detail. But what I've heard from somebody who was using it is it's great in terms of searchability because it has like a bunch of text. And for example, if you want to give the AI some more context, you can give it the complete history. And because it's, I feel like a bit more verbose and kind of probably a different writing style from what you would be writing, there's still a lot of information it kind of conveys. So just, I mean, it has all the context and it has all the summarization in there. So sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't.
Meantime, can you hear me right now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I was planning to come with a joke and something, but I just noticed like, yes, no, we are wiping.
Oh, no, you're gone again.
We lost you again.
I don't know. Is it better now?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, interesting. But I have a cable connection. Never mind. But I was thinking about making some jokes about this in the beginning while going in, but then actually I wanted to just give a heads up to the audience, like what he is doing here right now is like he is thinking about how entire system works and designing thing to make these tools work for it. Like it's like totally fun to see. Like I'm just getting satisfaction out of it while watching it. Like it's like really good. Thank you for making the stream. Like it's really exciting and also super fun to also just even be an audience here. Really
awesome.
great.
Yeah, nice to have you on. I think this is great because the AI really gives you more time to think about what's really important. We don't need to look up, I don't know, mocking packages and checking out how these low level things work. I feel like it's super nice, so we can really spend time on like important things.
Here's the question: is it actually any faster then, or is it just more relaxing for the developer?
Okay, so there's two things to it. First off, I mean, we're on a stream and we're talking like 80% of the time, so we could have been way quicker. And it's only been in the hour, and we have like this class done, which would have taken like a bit longer. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I think there's value in allowing you to kind of use less brain capacity. Like hard tasks, for me at least, hard task I can only really work on in the morning. Like something that's really kind of requires all my brain power. I'm really exhausted after it. And there's only so many tasks that I can complete in a day, which require that much kind of thinking. And what this model allows you to do is, or the AI allows you to do, is just work on complicated tasks with less brain capacity and like in a mode where you're not 100% in there. Like implementing all of this code while talking on live stream, I think that would have been way, way harder. But kind of writing this, taking like a minute, prompting something is doable.
Simon is not the right person to ask this question, but I can tell you yes.
I did that once a week, so you know.
For me, like, no, there is no way that I'm creating this while chatting like that in 1 hour. Like, you definitely can do some stuff, or also like even iterating regular docs. When you iterate something for 1 hour, yes, you can eventually go there, but after 4 hours, 5 hours, or like you need more breaks, or like you just get tired more.
There's an interesting thing that I just thought of. Something that just said this might help solopreneurs, right? As in solo entrepreneurs. But I just also think it made me think that if you're working, let's say all three of us are working on this game right now, all using Cursor, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's almost like a shared context of what we'd want together, right?
Exactly.
Right? That's kind of just an interesting thought here. And then also on top of that, one of the things that you do when you're developing is you know that another person's working on another feature, and I'm not going to go touching those files because I'm going to maybe create merge conflicts, right? Like you can converse with that person, which doesn't happen with the AI, right? The AI is going to make the changes it wants to make. So I wonder if we might get more merge conflicts from working as teams with AI. Right?
But how about this? Instead of kind of working on different branches and having one point in time where you merge, what if the AIs kind of communicate and just work on different features and kind of wait for each other?
That's risky. That is AI is communicating. Oh.
So, but generally the thing is, what I want to explore, this is something that's not really on the roadmap yet, is I really like the way Figma works. Like for me, it's just magical to be in a Figma file where you see different people moving around, working on different screens, and kind of making a thing come alive. And I'm really curious. I'm wondering, is this something that would possibly be possible to bring to development? Like, how cool would it be if you have like different cursors moving around in here, working on different screens? Like one developer is working on the settings screen, another one is working on the login screen. You just see the things evolving in real time.
I add one more thing to this. I feel like Simon will already jump at the answer. I feel like he has something. But I would say, like, for this question, we need to go somewhere way core than just like code editing. The problem you have right now is how to have a single source of truth that multiple key people can iterate on that. Like, if we can take like similar problems solved, like, okay, Figma is doing some stuff. People are collaboratively working on Google Docs. Like how they are avoiding this, and like why in GitHub you have commit resolving and Git blame things to like figure these out. Resolving conflicts and working in a document which is like reliable all the time is the problem. Like you multiple changes at the same time and making that like the question you need to focus, like the problem you need to focus on there. And once you just like get closer to solution, then you can get closer to solve it with a wide. But probably the first MVP, like the first steps will be like, maybe people will not work on the same screens, like you switch divide between the developers, or you will just make more different file layouts or architectural layouts that really everything should be just responsible of one thing, so that the other one will not conflict with where you're trying to press on.
Separation of concerns, yeah.
By the way,
before we jump back, Norbert, I tell you what I was just thinking. In that kind of visual canvas approach, you could actually maybe say lock, like select wherever you're working on, say lock, or when you have the code open for that thing, it locks that widget on the canvas, so they can't actually edit it or work with it because you're working with it. So you could have like a mutually, exclusive system there.
Once you lock it, I can get like, for example, Simon, you were working on there, you lock there, and then Norbert wants to do as like another iteration.
We can then send you a message, right?
Yeah, we can also have a queue of the things are running there, like you can do for queue management, like, but still with the rules, you are being sure that do not remove any of the existing functionality, but add this one.
You know what the answer is here. Let's invent a completely new way of doing source control with AI. Then we can get rid of Git completely.
To be honest, we need those. Like I was working on a tool which is like about localization conflicts whatsoever happening, but it was happening from many sides. Like PM is editing something, developer is editing something, they are putting something to the code, but the other one is also async taking it. And I actually reach out there to find a solution. Then I actually figured out why the GitHub is working like that. Like, because the problem itself is pretty hard, pretty complex, because you don't have a time reality or time step check to see which one is correct or which one is more prior. Like Norbert can do a feature iteration after you in time and timestamp, and still his solution can be better. So you don't know which one to apply. So you need a like smart logic to see, okay, then I will first apply Norbert's, even though Simon did it before, then I will add Simon's because it's easier. Like as human, you can like weigh those, but we will need this kind of conflict resolutions.
Yeah. Saying each of us work on some different branch, and we all work on our section, we merge everything to a common main branch. It sounds like a great idea. Yeah, it almost sounds like version control. I mean, we could just take the idea of Git and just use an LLM for it. Like, who needs a version history or some Git history? We could just have like a model with a huge context window and just put every single commit, every single thing doesn't really exist. It's all made up in this.
I wonder if you could teach an LLM based off of commit messages of apps and the code at the commit message state, right? Just thought about this, right? And that way you could actually code an app by just writing the commit messages, right? And it would know the actual code that reflects that change, or the diff that affects that change, right? So
eventually, isn't it what you understand as a senior developer when I tell you like, yeah, people are messaging in my app, but I want them to send short videos to you. The PM comes to you and says that, and Simon, with the knowledge, you know that, okay, this package I'm going to use, this you use, so this is actually doable.
Simon somebody's going to build a Simon MCP. You know Simon's Twitter handle. Twitter has an API. Not sure about the pricing right now, but like, there's nothing stopping you from writing an MCP where the AI can just ping you on social media. Please don't do this. But yeah, let's.
Let's get back to
some coding. Yeah. By the way, something I totally forgot to mention before. Let's do like this. So Viet, the tool, who, for those who haven't seen it yet, made a landing page, of course, done with AI. If you want to follow along, we're mostly using Cursor as the AI right now, but we probably will switch to some using some more Viet AI for more UI heavy things, as kind of the prompts and the things are more geared towards UI right now. If you want to follow along, join the Discord, get in touch with me. Releasing, like right now, the released version, there is one. If you join Discord, you can check out the installation instructions, just a one brew install command. I'm releasing the AI version of this, so the current version doesn't include the AI. I re-edited it back, cleaned it up, made it nice and smooth. Is gonna be released tomorrow, hopefully. It's gonna be there tomorrow. So if you want to have early access,
you have to do
it.
Okay. Join Discord. And yeah, like during the very early access, it's going to be available through Discord. There's some instructions just so I can control how many people are using it. And credits are free, so I'm hoping not too many people are going to use it just now. But yeah.
Do you have some informer bots or mail notifications for you about it? If not, maybe it's the time before you.
Oh yeah, no. There's limits and so on. Like every new account gets a couple of tokens. If you need more tokens when it's live, just ping me on Discord. Happy to give out more tokens. I just need to there's so much optimization to do, and that's a cool thing if you're building an AI for one technology and not like, for example, Cursor, and they need to support like everything that is code or even more. What I can do is I can hyper focus on Flutter and give it a lot of information. For example, if it's reading a file, which is a widget, I don't need to give it every single line of code. I can summarize a couple of details of the widgets and so on. So there's lots of things to do, but it all takes time. So
I think we maybe should come back next week with an answer to that one.
Yeah, I can check later when we're done with the stream, and I can give you kind of an estimate. I don't know. Like, honestly, we didn't do too much prompting as of now. I've done way worse in an hour. So I think it's not going to be more than a couple of euros. But it sums up. Okay, let's finish this prompt.
Let's get back to it and see what's happening. In fact,
So now let's...
I'm going to leave you guys to it for a bit. I'm going to go grab some food. So I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right.
Cool. You cannot access the white site. It should be online. It works on my machine.
Machine too.
Try again, maybe a different browser, HTTPS or something. It should hopefully work. I got bug reports some time ago on like specific models of iPhone where it had some problems loading the video. But honestly, I'm not exactly sure what was going on there. But feel free to post your details into the chat, what kind of device or browser you're using. I can take a look later. But let's see, let's create a main game screen. So we want to connect kind of our game controller and the widgets we did before to kind of see the basics. Or come up with a more interesting name. Like, I'm bad at names. I really like to give the AI some freedom to, like, this is what I think it should be called, but whatever you come up with is probably better. Where we combine a game controller with the cards we built earlier in, let's just give it some context. Let's just chug all the context there is in there. Keep it simple at first. No animations needed. We take it step by step. I kind of like to guide it to do less at the beginning, so we have more influence and control on what it does. Because if it just goes off the rails, it's hard to kind of get it back to where you want it to be. But if you kind of take it slow, so this, like, what I like about this code is it's all very isolated. The kind of architectural decisions we took are solid, I think. The details, there may be bugs, I don't know, but fixing those bugs is pretty easy because we see, okay, we have the architecture, we have this copy with pattern. So if there's, for example, if we, funnily enough, call fix a bug and it has a bug, we can fix the bug.
I mean, how you go step by step is actually, I got inspired with the stream by you. Like, I also do vibe coding already. Like, it's been like 6 months right now, pretty good. But I noticed that I am giving longer prompts than you and more specific. And what I was having is like, it was starting the generating. And when I see like it's going to the wrong direction, I had to stop and then like go back to the prompt and go for it, which was causing really some of the good work done was also getting reverted when I'm going back to the checkpoint.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually really like the fact that you put like, yep, for like 5 to 7, like the audience, like if you're watching it and if you see like, oh, was it really necessary? I can tell you like, that would really help me in many times that I'm going back in checkpoints. It's really good. Like, I think we are getting really good best practices here by like try and learn too.
Yeah, what I also really like to do is, for example, in this, I was thinking about it, and we could have just not told it about the bug feature. Like, let's not implement bugs as of now. Let's just do features and marketing.
Yeah.
And then we have our base kind of architecture. This is, I mean, you need to be in charge of the big picture. So if you anticipate that adding these bug cards is fundamentally going to change your game, then of course, factor it in, think about it. But if there's certain features where you feel like they are not necessary for other features to work, best case, you just leave them out for now. You put it somewhere else. You may tell it about the feature and like tell it to add a to-do or so. But the less it has to do, the better it is. If you give it too many tasks, it only has to fail in one to fail in pretty much everything. Because a lot of the time, if it kind of goes in a different direction, it may need to change the API of this other component slightly. And yeah, it's kind of best to just take it component by component.
So maybe if you want to go for this question, then we can go for directly adding what's generating if you want.
Yes, sure. So productivity, I mean, it depends who you ask or in what context you ask. Like, I feel it's like multiple of like it's hard to quantify. If you try to convince somebody, you're going to tell them it's 10x, 100x, and but honestly, sometimes it's just the same but easier, so you have less brain power usage. Sometimes it's literally it implemented certain things that would have taken me like, I don't know, 2-3 hours and 2 minutes. It allows, I really like to use it to implement dev tools too. So for example, if you just want to test something or write a test yourself, that doesn't necessarily improve the product, but it helps you build other stuff. You wouldn't want to implement that yourself because it takes too much time and there's too little effort. But the AI can do it quickly. And that's also kind of the thing I'm trying or doing with Vite. So I removed it from this current feature because it's kind of still work in progress, but Vite actually has a full runtime to run tests in your application. So it can add dev tools for you. It can run tests for your UI. It can do all these things before kind of going back to you and asking you, which is, I think, pretty cool. On card select. Okay, that looks good. Card and main guy. Okay, cool. So it didn't add it to main, which is fine because we actually want to do it ourselves. So we are not writing code ourselves. Use main game screen. This is how far we're taking it.
Maybe one nuance that you have right now, even though you are going for a small, short editor edits, I saw that you are still using the mode of like 3.7 there. Like.
Oh yeah, I think that's a different model. This one is kind of different from this one.
Like audience, I can say if you don't have a budget and if you want to go like simpler changes or like really small nuances, then when you go for inline edits or refactor this, make this better, remove the comment, like these small stuff, you can also go for 4.0 mini or like cheaper models and so on. If your job doesn't requires Norbert's like for things that you can also go for budget safe when it's like a simple task, because now mini models are also doing pretty good stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. By the way, I really love this. I don't know about any of such extension. If you know, ping me. I think I will need to add that for the next stream. Yeah, we're not gonna do any coding ourselves. You may have seen I use the import shortcut from the Flutter plugin. I don't count that as writing code ourselves. It's still generated code, so I think we should be fine there. Okay, cool. Let's see what we got. Let's increase the size. So we don't have any cards in our hand, which is, I think, expected because the controller had, yes, a starter deck, which was empty. Let's accept all. Use a nice starter deck. Okay, so let's check. We have our game card wrapper. Where did it get? Okay, it constructed them in kind of the wrapper file, which you don't really want. Let's create a registry type file which contains all cards as a static instance. Here are the cards. And we can take this one that was generated, and then we can tell it to put it into, whatever, put it somewhere, and use a standard deck from those cards, whatever, if that makes sense or not. Cool.
What makes it good is like the way you prompt. Like these are also the stuff that people gotta be careful of. Like it is like vibe coding is fine, but the people when they are like getting blocked is when they are going too vague about like describing stuff out. They just say like, "Can you do me this feature?" But if you just scroll up a little bit to your prompt, you just the expertise and the level of prompting you put there is like senior level knowledge, like you know what you're asking, so you can guide it better.
I can show you something. I've been experimenting with a fully vibe coded game. a couple of weeks ago, which is using 3.js. I wanted to try a tower defense game. And I'm like no expert in 3.js. I like this. I didn't look at the code. Like what we're doing right now, we're actually taking a look at the code and doing stuff. But like this kind of fell apart at some point. It got npm run dev. This kind of fell apart, and whenever we added something, like check this out. This is super impressive in my opinion. We have enemies. It's kind of, we can select our worker. We can place basic towers. I implemented that it can create it. And this is great, but I tried adding new features now, and it was really hard kind of building something new without breaking something that was done before, because I don't know the code, and that can be, I mean, it's fun. It looks really impressive, but I'm not sure how to.
You just repeated?
Sorry?
Can you hear what did you just repeated? To build something without making the other feature broke. I think we're gonna have this like solution. We need to work on that solution, like conflict resolving, building something without breaking it.
I think that the issue right now is that the project becomes too complex, and the AI just cannot fit everything in the context window. And it's just like, it's too difficult to implement a new feature if you haven't structured it in a way, because the AI might think, okay, we are implementing a game that is, I don't know, a tower defense about tower defense, but you as a developer actually want to build some other type of game. So the AI thinks we're building something different, and there might be some sort of mismatch. So it can be hard to scale if you don't know what you're doing. And that's kind of like, honestly, it's still impressive, but it's kind of hard at some point to continue.
The solution, I mean, more of in a form that how to restructure our architecture to be able to use by AI better. Because there is like, you know, right now, even with the output and the prompts that you are making it, like we discussed before, it is for human readable, human understandable. I feel like, what if we have like, you know, MVVM or whatsoever structures that we use right now is really for human to understand, have the use cases, repositories, and like overall services structure. It is easier for a human to track, but for code, it just goes through the lines. And like, what if we have a second, let's say, ghost version or a machine version of our code that is structured in a different way? Thank you, Balloon. That it is just running there. All you see is here, but it's running something completely different behind in machine code.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like we're at a point in time where we have the fundamentals of this new thing down. So it's not just a toy anymore, and not just kind of a science project, but this is actually something that is gonna have profound effects on all parts of the industry and so on. I think this is a super interesting time, because so many things and so many products and whatever you're doing with AI is about to be built, and kind of is currently in a stage where it's still super, super early. It's already super powerful, and that's what I really like about it. You can already see if AI happens to not improve at all anymore, I still think it's at a point where there's so much more kind of, how do I say, so much more potential to get out of AI just by building the tools, by rethinking existing systems in terms of utilizing AI better, where I think it's, I think there's much to come. Don't forget to commit. Yeah, it's a good idea. The cool thing about Cursor, and also the reason why I'm using Cursor a bit more than the built-in Vite AI, it's actually taking care and having this shadow git where you see it has all the changes that you can reject and accept. And it's also super easy to jump back to a prompt that you did before. This is something I'm planning on adding to Vite as well in the near future. So it's just, you have more control over what's happening. So for example, we don't like this prompt, something broke, we can just jump back to the last checkpoint and we didn't break anything. So for example, we don't. Oh, okay. So it's still trying to use some cards over here that it's interesting. Okay, let's check which cards. It's using way too many cards.
Sorry, I just distracted, but there was a spam that I'm just going to delete in the chat.
Okay. While it's just generating, is there any other questions? So now more separation between UI and logic, so understands better. I mean, that's just general software engineering best practices. I mean, there's a reason why you do this. It's not just because an AI or a human, or I mean, that's kind of the reason. It's simpler to work on things if they are isolated. If you change something in one part, you don't want to break other parts. If you have UI and logic in one place, it's way easier to kind of mess things up. Okay, it's not wanting to do what I told it to. Are we breaking our rule and changing stuff? Or okay, let's just see what it wrote. Sometimes it may be helpful to see what it responded with. You write all kinds of listen stored from, but we found dark mode and have specific image files. Placeholder PNG. Ah, oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay, it's using a play. Actually, okay, this is something that Gemini likes to do. Like we told it something very specific that we want to have, but doing this actually makes sense. So okay, I mean it's not writing code. Let's just copy this image and rename it placeholder. Cool, now it works. Okay, so that's something that Gemini likes to do. It does more than we kind of wanted to do, which interestingly enough sometimes is, because that's also very interesting. Sometimes you tell the AI to do something that doesn't make sense. Like what I found is the AI really breaks down if you give it a task that is just not possible to do. And whenever I kind of see the AI really struggling doing something, I try to take a step back and actually look at the problem. Most of the time, it's not really that the AI is dumb or anything. It's that the problem is just not possible to solve with the current context, or I missed something, or there, like sometimes I told it, can you please fix this bug at this specific point? And then it just didn't do it. And like an hour later, I noticed, oh, the bug isn't at this point. It's somewhere completely different. And that's why I wasn't able to solve it. So that's something to look out for. Yeah, I almost wrote a commit message myself.
It is like an overfit issue in the algorithms or like detections. Like but also when you specify tool specifically to something, I also see that it's, oh my god, it looks good.
Wow. Okay, sorry, go on. I was
totally. I got distracted already. It's really good. Like for example, we already have a navigation and so on. Then when you ask really specific prompting, you see that it's trying to introduce Go router again, even though there is a router. It's like trying to make it go the test directory or whatsoever directory because your injection is wrong or like another thing is wrong. Then it just like goes there. To be honest, anytime I have an output that I don't expect, I check what did I wrote, and I use other AI tools to prompt what I'm gonna do. Like I'm talking with ChatGPT before, and I'm asking like, I'm gonna do this, the cursor. I have this rules, and I want to say this. Then the comments and the prompts that you are using to cursor right now is actually generated by ChatGPT for me. And it has a chat that trained for that, so that it understands the mistakes of mine while I'm doing the prompting. And that it actually covers my back even further, because I also tell like, okay, I did this, but cursor went wrong. So I also use different systems to understand each other and their generation.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's crazy because it feels like all this AI stuff gives power to people building cool things without having to know, like, I don't know, assembly and some black magic. You can just write English words and text. And there's so much to explore and try out. Like, as you said, you have your different prompting strategies. Some people swear by specific cursor rule files by taking step by step. Some people like to do a task planning and so on. And I feel like there's so much to explore and to try out. And I find it super, super interesting. But yeah, this surprised me. Like, this happens a lot. And it's great. Like I didn't expect, like this is great. We want this. I didn't expect it to implement clicking a card to selecting it. Let's check out where it did it. It's in the...
It selects, highlights, puts a white border to like really specify even technically to the audience like what happened extra. It has an animation. The selector should be like somewhere in a state. Like it's put way much more than what you ask.
Exactly. So I really like this. I mean, we don't need to do too many animations, but I mean, we can finish this off. What I would like to do is on hover, I wanted to kind of select itself. So let's go to card hand. Please make the selection also work on hover. So yeah, we created a new chat. I like creating new chats for new features because we kind of force it to forget what it just did. We have a clean slate. We can easily revert and do all sorts of things. I like to have control over what kind of context it has. So creating
in ChatGPT right now, you don't need to switch to new chats to change your context and have a fresh thing because as I think it's just like 2-3 days ago or something. Of course, like, please, everyone, also audience included. But right now, as I see and as I tried so far, you don't need to open new chats to use the previous memories. And then, like, you can actually just jump back where you are, and it can just go back to the context and the deepness that you just chatted. I think Cursor can, like, take some little more part of it.
Yeah. So this is actually interesting. It creates something that kind of works. It hovers, but it's using parent data incorrectly. We're actually going to switch over to the Vide AI in a minute. But what I want to do and Vide is doing is instead of you having to take that output, put it back into the chat and telling it, yeah, there's an obvious error, please fix. If it's using Vide to place the stuff on a canvas, it actually gets the output from the first couple of frames. So if there's an error, for example, an overflow or some incorrect parent data use, it's going to read that in and say, yeah, I see, sorry, let me fix that. And I find it super interesting to see how far can we take automating all the different things so you don't have to intervene and try out stuff yourself. I mean, this is obvious. This should not work. Some things are less obvious where you should look into it, but stuff like this should just work out of the box.
By the way, Anton raised a really good point. We promised Simon not to do animations, but when he will be back, we have more animations.
Well, I mean, you see, it wasn't a lot of work, so this was a single prompt kind of a two. So I really like this, actually. Oh yeah, clicking it kind of keeps it selected. Interesting. This looks so nice. Okay, cool. Sorry, not sorry. We have some animations now. Zach, put it in. Oh my God, that's a big commit message that we are not going to read. Okay, so let's check. What else do we have? We have our cards. We can play a selected card and it just disappears. We don't have any more hours and stuff. Okay, wow, stuff happened. Let's quickly check out what happened. Product hunt post, on resolve, one card resolve. Did we get users? No, we didn't.
I will just do a small layout change. Maybe this is better. Let us know if you can't see it.
Okay, so I think this is actually correct, what is happening. But I mean, we don't want to do too much. So one thing that we probably, let's completely restart this so we have a clean slate. If we play a selected card, it should probably show up here. So let's see what's going on. Maybe it just didn't implement that just yet. We have our main game screen. Handle card selection, that's not being used. Interesting. Play selected card. Before proceeding. Sprint backlog, played card this turn. Sprint backlog. Okay, this is the one here. Yeah, I think it just didn't implement it yet. Okay, cool. We wanted to implement the sprint backlog. For this, what I like to do is we can hop over and we can just take a screenshot, like something like this. Put it over here. They should be placed next to each other in the middle of the screen. And what I sometimes like to do if I'm not exactly sure how I want it to be, because I mean, there could be some interesting visual thing to do with something creative. And just let's just see what it does.
Let's see what does creative means for it.
Like honestly, sometimes just adding it, be creative or try something out works really well.
Yeah.
And it's like honestly, sometimes it just fascinates me with kind of interesting layouts and so on. Okay.
Meantime, we have already 40 people still tuning in the stream live.
Nice.
Really good.
I could also show how I kind of generate the cards and my workflow around that, and we can actually create a new card if we want to. Ezra, do you want to take on the duty on picking out one of the different suggestions that we're gonna implement?
Or I'm just like opening it now. I already had it in my notes.
Awesome. By the way, cool thing here in Vida, what we can also do is we can just change the layout and see how it works. So yeah, it's optimized for desktop. I mean, it actually looks pretty decent, but let's just keep it on desktop. Let's check out. I'm interested. How does it look in light theme? No, it's hard-coded to dark, which is fine. Okay, cool. Let's reload. Let's not fix it, but play a card. Okay, nice. I put it on here. And yeah, we can't do anything else. Nice. So we played a single feature, and a feature on its own shouldn't do anything. Let me double check the card registry. We played a dark mode feature. On play, on resolve, it's actually just strings, so we need to check how it handled or how does the logic. But honestly, this looks good for the beginning. Cool. Let's check out the changes.
Why not the privacy policy idea that Anton has? That one was like privacy policy that nobody reads can actually give a punishment, or we can also have the intern card like messing things up.
Yes, that sounds good. Can you pin the comment so we can see it? Okay, so I can kind of show you what I'm doing. Is first off, I created every card I put into kind of this format where it just contains the data. And what I'm doing is, let me open a ChatGPT instance over here.
I guess this wasn't Anton's code. This was like Don Barracuda privacy policy that nobody reads.
Nice. Okay, then how about this? We open a new chat, put in the cards MD, create a new card in the theme of privacy policy that no reads. It should be a feature. Come up with multiple illustration ideas and flavor texts. So we have something to choose from.
It can make some GDPR jokes and so on.
Yeah, we can vote in a minute. Just put into chat what you like most, and we will.
Like multiplayer, the privacy policy card. I would like to let's say we are playing a card game, but the next like you pull the privacy policy card and you can see my cards. Like,
that could be fun.
Or I can just check one of your cards at least, like privacy policy.
Okay, let's see what we got. Unread privacy policy. Unresolved game 100 users.
Oh.
Why not? Flavor options. Our lawyers assure us this covers everything. We haven't read it either. I like that one. Our users scroll past this faster than your loading animation.
Oh, wow.
Actually quite fun because we have a loading animation, I think, or like an infinite scroller that is kind of in a similar theme. the longest document ever ignored. Honestly, like people say AI isn't creative, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to come up with jokes and like things this creative in this little time.
Yeah.
So illustration options, we have a long scroll of dense legal text with cobwebs on the accept button. Dense legal text might look bad on like an illustration. A user blindly clicking accept while sleeping, that's fun. That could work. The privacy policy document being used as a door stamp, nice, but I think it's hard to illustrate.
Yeah.
A magnifying glass showing incomprehensible legalese within the policy, also nice but hard to illustrate, I think. A tumbleweed rolling past the privacy policy link on the sign-up page, that could work. Tumbleweed rolling is always nice to
Oh yeah.
to visualize. So anybody got any suggestions what we should use? In the meantime, what I usually do, I have this prompt where I just copy this over. Before doing that, what we actually do is we go in the Figma. So this is going to be interesting. I take an existing card. So in this case, we're building a feature.
I will just make a small announcement. Like I just put someone in a mute in the chat. Like there is, to be honest, we have a community guidelines here that you cannot 100% put comments like that. This is just a disrespectful way of saying it. You're already in timeout, and yeah, please, when you have a different idea, please be sure that you are raising it in a respectful manner. We are open to discuss anything going about Firebase Studio, Gemini, Cursor, ChatGPT here. We are not like a single fan of any products. As long as you are raising it in a respectful level, we can totally discuss this out. Then we can proceed. Maybe we can show community guidelines in the beginning again, but I guess that was clear since it is the Flutter community stream.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm using Cursor. I haven't tried out Firebase Studio just yet. It looks great. I think there is definitely super interesting things to be done. Use Cursor day to day. So that's why I want to show what I'm using and kind of how my workflow is. At some point, maybe we can do a stream and check out how Firebase Studio is handling stuff. But yeah, so we have unresolved gain 100 users. Cool. Okay, what are we picking? I think I like the tumbleweed. Do we want to try that?
Yeah, tumbleweed. Let's see.
Okay, and as a text, I like the lawyers. What do you think?
I haven't read it either. Is like a punchline for me. Like our lawyers. I'm just like wondering how much character limit that you have.
Could be a bit long, right? Yeah, I think
this
that's
is
too
like
long.
so-
How about the longest document ever?
Can you put it back to the AI and sell it? Like do it like make it maximum 30 characters and adjust this. Like give me like 5 more ideas. This is like what I like to do with the AI. Okay, this is like
we can try,
but it's like make it shorter. Like you can say like
I actually like this.
Love it.
Okay, so it's 1 hour. So like all the numbers, I'm just making it up. All the card balancing and all the things will follow after. So what I do is I export this. Then I take it over into ChatGPT where I paste. I have it on my second monitor. So basically it's just this prompt where I input the illustration as an ID over here. And I also added the image without the illustration. So I've uploaded these. And then we are gonna get back an image with a filled out illustration. The reason we're not using the image the AI is generating directly is it's great, like especially the new GPT-4o model on following your guidelines really well, but it's not perfect. So it might switch up the corner radius a bit. It might change the colors slightly. It might change the the stroke width a bit, which is annoying in a card game. You want to have a consistent scheme. So that's why we're kind of just using it for the illustrations. So let's accept this file.
Maybe
let's see.
further the rendering can be in the Flutter side too.
Oh yeah, you mean at runtime?
Totally, totally another idea. Meantime, while you're showing this, I will just pull a short question, and then while you're doing it, I will reply behind.
Okay. Can you do that? I'll grab some water for a sec. I'll be right back.
Sure. So there was a question about why are we not like trying out Firebase Studio. Meantime, I will just like keep the Norbert. Yeah, I mean, we are good. So why we are not trying out Firebase Studio? So right now, it's been already like 2 hours. Maybe it's good to like do this rollback. This is a stream for vibe coding, which is like definitely means that Norbert will try to not touch the code and cursor. Sorry, like the IDE, whatever IDE we are using right now, that he will try to do it in AI generated way. And now he is using cursor. Then he is also using his own very own IDE, which is called Vibe. Yes, right? Like vibe coding, vibe IDE. Like I think I will always remember it like that from this point. But we also had some different streams and things that we are doing in Flutter community channel. Like we are going through lots of generators and going through. So we are not necessarily trying things out with Firebase Studio here, because this is not the like also official things getting used here. So we have space for all kind of text builders and so on here. Yeah, welcome back. You are muted.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Cool. So yes, as you can see, we generate an image and it's looking like our card, but it's slightly different. The text over here is not middle aligned, it's left aligned.
Yeah.
There is an hour over here that doesn't really make sense. So we cannot really use this card as it is, but the image is kind of nice. I'm not sure exactly if I like the composition fully, but it kind of gets the point across. I mean, you can use it for now.
Iterate it later.
Yeah, I think we can use it for now.
Yeah.
And we can always change. That's a nice thing. That's a nice thing about this is we don't need to fully lock in what we want to do right now. We can always iterate later. So what I'd like to do then, that's kind of my workflow I came up with for these images. We just crop. So we have just illustration. We do this. Let's crop a bit more.
I need to see the audience. Like using Figma is easier than how Norbert does right now, but no worries. It's fine.
So let's do this.
Sorry for all the designers watching.
Yeah, it's
a quick fix.
Let's see what 54. So we matched that kind of 0, 0. Beautiful. Okay, don't hate me for this. We're gonna re-export this and import this back in because we're not gonna import it this way because this is a component. It's kind of weird what I'm doing, but anyways, we open this image and then we open this one and then we do fit and then we do this. We choose a color which is right next to it. Ta-da! We have our card. Now we can, I guess, do fit is fine, I guess. Yep. So we have our new card, and then we can export this and get it in here. And that's kind of how I create cards right now. And okay, let's just name it ourselves. That's quicker. Unread privacy policy. Cool. So now add the new card to the registry. We can put this in here. We can, where is the lib? Data card registry. Bam. Cool.
Is it because it is easier for you to add the files one by one, or did you consider using directly file reading and relation making MCPs?
Oh, I mean, Cursor is smart enough to read the files for you. So if you don't specify anything, it will kind of search your project. I kind of like it to give it some more guidance to what files to use, because I think it feels for me I have some more control. I know what it's going to do, and I kind of restrict. It's not really restricted. It can do whatever it wants, but it's kind of, I think it's more of a habit what I like to do, and it's nice to. This is not what we're working on now. This is what we're not working on right now. And yeah, now we have a new card. We should be able to reload, and there it is. Yeah, there it is, our new card that we should be able. Okay, so what we also can do is update our wrapper. Game card, update this to use the registry for loop. So now we just tell it to update the registry to use a for loop to kind of have our cards in there. And this way we have the widgets in here, and we can use Vi to visualize all of them. This is especially useful for, okay, the one for every type. Let's see if it changes it. It's especially useful if later we decide to have different variations. We may have different parameters where we could have, I don't know, some more animations or so on. So let's see what it is doing. Okay, so in the meantime, we can think about what we're working on next. Okay, so let's see. Game card widgets, nice. We have our unread privacy policy widget over here. Oh, interesting. It created it, put both of the states onto the canvas, and we have the selected and the unselected.
System freak side like this. I want to see the all different states and stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay, wait. What's happening in chat? How has it been going?
How it is? Yeah, Frey is here. You take the comments. You good?
Oh yeah, building on resolve logic. I think that's a good idea. Before that, we could also work on the on play effects first, because those happen before. But on resolve is probably fine too. Yeah, I think that's a logical next step. We're gonna do either one of those. But yeah, we'll probably start work on that, have some things up and running on the screen, and the stream's already going on for more than 2 hours, so we're not gonna take it for too long after that. But I think that's a good idea. How it is going? Yeah, I think it's going pretty well. What do you think, Ezra?
It's going amazing. Like right now, we again still have more than 40 people in stream, which is a really good number. Like for real. Now I can see, yeah, this is gonna go further for sure. It's fun.
So yeah, also for anybody who is now tuning in, we have our hand of cards that is animating, which is by accident. We didn't ask to implement this, but it just so happened to do it. We have our cards imported. We have the base game logic where we have hours. We have, for example, dark mode. We can click play selected card. Okay, this is saying 3 hours, but it only costs us 2, which is a bug which we need to fix. So we can play this, and then we can hit release, and that's not doing anything. But what's happening, we have a new set of cards. We're in sprint 2. We have new hours, which seems nice for me, and we have 1 card discarded. So kind of the core logic is working, and now we need to, continue. So next week we continue with this. Yeah, we need to announce this, but I think I'm pretty sure next week, Sunday, 7 p.m., same time, same place, we will continue with this game. I will put it on GitHub and GitHub pages, like you will be able to, whatever, if you want to call this a game already or not, you can check this out. You can check out the code. Yes. Cool. So we can think about the logic for on resolve and on play. And this is, I feel like, the core of the game, and we need to be really careful on how we implement this, because this is kind of where all the effects and the complicated things happen. So if we, like, I wouldn't say if we mess up, it's over, but we need to make sure that we have all the things that we want to build in mind, so our system doesn't suffer from, we'll have to refactor everything. So what I was thinking is we have our card model, and right now it's having an onResolve and onPlay string. I mean, it's a model, so it should remain stateless, but it's probably best to have some sort of callback or execute logic associated with the cards. So I'm just thinking, does it make sense to put a function into this game card? Or do we put it into some external manager? I'm leaning towards having the callback in this card because the cards are defined in a registry. So we have our card registry, meaning if we want to serialize this card, we don't have to worry about serializing the flavor text or anything else. All we need to make sure is we're serializing the name, or better, the ID. So I think just putting the onResolve and onPlay into the card itself would be fine.
Yeah, I would like to have it like as something I can call, but I can also like manipulate. Like what I mean, like a function to call back or something. Normally, I don't even like to have that in UI elements, but this one, the cards also have its own function and it can go further. Like a card can trigger something else getting removed, and like, I think it's good to put it there in card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, one consideration to do, and this is kind of, eventually it could or could not be multiplayer, so that might be different, but the onPlay and onResolve should probably be async, and this may sound weird, but I think it should have access to widgets, because we want to have animations. For example, we play a card that gives you an onPlay effect. We want the card to be played or taken from the deck. And if, like, okay, this is kind of from experience. I built a card game in Flutter before, and I first started off with kind of this qubit approach where we have this one state and we have all our animation that is implicit. Ended up being really hard because games like these tend to have lots of animation. So for example, you play a card that allows you to draw 2 different cards and then, I don't know, discard 3 cards. Orchestrating all of these animations and things without having access to kind of UI only things is kind of hard. So what I think is we're going to use global keys, which are not going to be used for any state management whatsoever. It's only going to be used for animation. For example, every single card will have an ID, and that ID is going to be a UUID, which is distinct from the card prototype. It's going to be an instance type. And in your onPlay, you can access every other card's kind of animation controller and just call animate or pop or do whatever. So for example, if you have
from the deck, blah from the deck, but with an animation.
Exactly. So every card can access like the animations of all the other cards, and they can have like, every card can do its own thing without having to centralize all of that logic, which I think is a great way to do this.
Meantime, Anton just popped this one, but I'm not sure, like adding those, how would it react, and so many generated code in it. How about the cards refactored to a bunch of classes, extending the base card class using sealed classes?
Yeah, I actually like this one. I think it's not too big of a difference because you either have real class instances or like what this is right now is kind of meta classes. You can think of these instances as classes. But I actually like using sealed classes more a bit. And I think that's great because there you have 2 methods that you can override. Like generally, I don't like inheritance too much. I don't want to have deep inheritance structures. But what I think is fine is you have a base card and then you have 1 level of inheritance. And then you can implement stuff. What I really wouldn't want to do is have like base card, then a feature card, and that is extended by like this card, and that ends up being
and then sealed.
Exactly. But yeah, I like the seal class. Let's do this. So let's change how we handle game card models. First off, we want an ID which is unique for every type card. This is similar to the name. Actually, it could just be the name, but I think it's good to have a distinction between name, like unique identifier. So we want to have an ID which is unique for every type of card. For example, let's copy this in here. Would have an ID equal code cleanup. Next up, we want to use a simple sealed class inheritance structure. So, okay, so this is also a question. So we'll have base cards and like subclasses, but we also want some kind of runtime ID. So I was thinking we could have another class, which is like a runtime card or like a card in play that wraps your card. So the card itself is just a prototype, and the card in play actually contains the ID. So we don't have to pollute this game card by any runtime information.
Yeah. And then you can have like cards in deck, cards in play, cards. I don't know. Not archive is not the right word, but just like taken out from the game for whatsoever reason. Yeah. Then the animations can simply ignore in the ways that are not active in the game. And Anthony, like mentioned, discussions like this are also what will be needed from devs in the future, making architectural decisions and telling AI what to do. Hope like I think AI can also do these discussions itself, but eventually it is the nature of prompting that it will need your words to take an action, even to start something or stop something, or you will just like you just need to say something to machine. So I mean, hope so with the streams and further stuff that coming, we will try to make this really good quality. I think we will get this a lot. This comment before new like forever.
Especially in Cursor, you don't have to worry too much because you can always revert. So I think it's good practice that we commit, and I think that's also probably a good idea to do here. We can always revert. So in no way are we gonna mess up our code base. But yeah, thanks for the reminder. I mean, just having good commits and having like actually well-structured commits is great for other reasons, to kind of trace where a bug is happening and so on. So thanks for the reminder. So there should be an on-play text. So yeah, what we're kind of explaining what we want to do. Also, I think I like it that we have the on-play and on-resolve as a text somewhere. So for example, if you want to increase the size for some sort of accessibility or so on, we have the information for it.
There is one more comment I can pull that can affect your prompt right now, but I am not sure whether we are going too further when refactoring this and slowing down the code, or would this take would this be a good take for you to add the prompt? Would it make sense to have the cards refactor type, feature, bug, utility as extended sealed classes, like having even other types? But I started slowly feeling like we are losing, like, yes, it's becoming a better setup in architecture, but I also want to see the game playing like as soon as possible. How do you think?
I think this is totally valid, and there's nothing wrong or kind of right with it. I personally would not do this because for me, thinking about a card, I don't really care if it's a marketing or feature card. That's more of a visual indication for the user of what kind of type of effect it's going to be. At the end of the day, they're all cards. I think there is a point to be made about bug cards because they are distinctly different because, for example, they kind of have different effects when they are still in the hand. I would postpone this for some later update and just try the simple. It's adding more complexity, which may or may not be needed. So I would say let's just start with like the simpler approach, and when we're hitting the boundaries and seeing that it doesn't scale or work, then we can do this. But yeah, it's completely valid approach. On player resolve.
Simon.
What have I missed?
New animations we have.
Yeah, we had animations. Like, I didn't ask for it. It just added animation. But check this out. I really like them.
He's like, you need animations.
Me sneaking him in the first second you're back. I'm like, new animation.
See, you know what needs to happen when you do that? It needs to bring the card to the foreground as you hover over it.
Like,
Good point. Good point. We can do that in a minute. We're doing a very slight refactoring. Furthermore, there should be a new model called card in play, which should wrap a base card and add a UUID style ID to it. It should key and the UUID. So yeah, I was just saying, like the architecture, we will be using global keys for like different cards, so we can access animations. So we can do card XYZ, please pop out, or like do some flip or so on, because there's a bunch of card interactions. Yeah.
Have you committed recently?
Yes, I just did.
Did you use the AI to generate your commit message?
yeah,
I did. Check this out. These are all fully AI. This is the only one we wrote. Oh no, initial commit was also handwritten, but that doesn't.
And he wrote one more file named with hand.
Yeah, we created a new card. Right, let me show you. We have the unread privacy policy. Lawyers approved. We didn't read it.
Nice.
Yeah, like the illustration could use some something else, but I think it works for now.
For now.
It needs one of those. It needs a cactus in there.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can polish some card look until next week. It will be fine.
Yes. Yeah, we will need way more cards, especially the feature cards, which are going to be played and they will be gone. We will need like a huge list of them. So yeah, we'll probably put something out there.
Recommendation, everyone.
Would you like to just put a tweet out of it, and people can just put the tweets as a reply to you, and then you can pick it up? I'm taking to do for you after stream.
Moves away from simple, blah blah blah. Define base cards, type and play. Define card type. Code cleanup, extend these cards preferred on play and on resolve, and set specific values. Card and play, create a new card and play, blah blah blah.
I was thinking about this actually. Sorry, carry on what you're doing now, but I was thinking about this. Are we going to have problems when we're talking about like fixing bugs? And of course, we have bug like cards, and like the code has the word bug in it, so it may get confused.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to be careful with how we word certain things, but indeed, that's. So you want to look up a card and play instance by its instance ID from anyone, we can achieve a static map within. Every card in play should use a global key with its UUID attached. I mean, we probably want to use a global value key in that case, right? Yes. Value key. So it's still good to know Flutter. I mean, of course, the AI is going to do stuff, but if you know how certain things work, that's a big plus. Cool.
That's what totally neat till we have a, like, I don't know, a repo, a rules, or MCP of including best practices that you can pick. Like, I feel like it could be really good that there should be like topics that I click like plus add this of course to my code, and then get it applied.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if anyone is interested, you can start building these. Like we already made up 10 different things to build for the next like couple months.
Nice. I like this. This is exactly how I wanted it. I like the override properties. I think this is great. Base card generate ID from name. I mean, this is just being lazy, I guess. Well, yeah, let's see how it continues. Yeah, I think we're gonna change the ID. I mean, just type it, dude. You don't have to use. It's even short. I mean, it's. I understand where this is coming from. It's very clear that we just want to use the name, but we make it precisely because we want to. Like the idea behind this, we want to be able to change names of cards without potentially messing up some local storage where we rely on IDs. So we want to have IDs which are stable and we really do not touch.
Do we want to have IDs be related to the instantiation of the card?
We got that too. Like currently we have the notion of a card, which is just a prototype of card, and we have a card in play which contains a runtime ID, which is a UUID that you can kind of reference. So I think it's nice to differentiate between like this is the concept of a card and this is an actual card that is being played in a game right now. Okay, let's see. Card in play. We have a UUID generator, static map with card in play. I'm not sure.
I just don't like those statics, man.
Yeah. I mean, this static's fine. That's just the UUID, but that's not really important.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I think we messed up the prompt actually.
Okay. You go first.
We messed up the prompt because we don't want this static map to be in the model. We want it to be in the widget. So we want the card in play widget kind of, and that has a global key. It doesn't make sense to have the keys over here.
It says seems like it didn't use sealed class for the base card. I have this well a few times where it doesn't know about all new Dart features.
Interesting, yes. Like, okay, here's a consideration. A thing I don't like about sealed classes is that you have to put them into the same file or use the part-of directive, which is, I think, all right, but I don't know. I don't really like that part of sealed classes. But I think it's probably better to still use them and then just use part-of, because then we can do cool things. But let's fix all the things one by one. So first off, what we didn't like is, let me know if you'd like to proceed. Next time is to create remaining 4 cards. Would you like me to create all remaining parts? Or you prefer to do it yourself? Focus on updating. Before doing any of that, let's do the following changes. Cool. So we want to do not use generate ID from name, but write the ID yourself for every card.
So the stream has been going for 3.5 hours.
2.5.
When are we choosing to wrap this up? Let's get an ending condition here.
Yes. So I was thinking implementing this feature right now. We talked briefly about this. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna be going on forever. So probably doing this refactor, kind of getting the cards back into the game, and then it's probably gonna be a wrap. So we will be continuing next Sunday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Yeah.
So about the statics here, like for the other audience, like maybe the beginner audience and so on. For example, Simon, I would like to ask why you said you didn't like the static uses.
The static for the instances, it means you can only have one effectively every instance of card in play shares the same set of instances, right? Which is fine, but it doesn't make it very testable. It also means that, let's say you wanted to set up 2 instances of the same game and the same, same system. Let's say you want to do some sort of like split screen, whatever it might be. You can't do that because now they're both instances of the game and now sharing the same instance of the cards in play, right? You get to make those choices yourself if it's not static, right?
Yeah.
So it's better to have state that you can clear and you can maintain that's not in sort of the process state.
Thank you for the explanation. Meantime, while it's generating, Freya mentioned, I'm curious which result of a novice developer would produce with this, having limited knowledge of architecture, readability, and maintainability. And hope so we will be asking these questions further, okay, why Norbert, you did this, why Simon, this means that. And yeah, when you are Please, you go first. Yeah.
I think it's always, in whatever situation you are, valuable to know what questions to ask. If you don't know anything about the topic, you don't know what questions to ask, you don't know what the considerations are, you're going to have a hard time. Like, I think the AI is very smart. It has an idea of an app it wants to build. For example, if you tell it to build a social media app, it has a clear way, or it has a clear path to build that app. But if you want to do something else, and there is kind of a communication barrier, you don't know what you want, and it's kind of hard for you to convey that to the AI. It will just go towards what it is doing, and that may just break because you're trying to force it to do something that's not really possible, or that goes against like different things. So yeah, I think for like very basic things, which are like, for example, what I think, if you want to build a landing page, there's no real state or complicated things to consider. You just tell the AI how it should look. It's going to be great because the project is kind of, there's not too much to mess up, so to say.
Yeah.
But for anything that's kind of more complicated, you need to know how to express yourself. You need to tell it what you want. So
I suppose you could have a separate chat going, separate context, where you could ask it questions around what's best to do in this situation, or if you've got a question around inheritance or something like that, you could also talk to it about that, right? Like there is a side of this which is talking about not the code itself, but how you might go around coding certain things and see what answers it comes up with, right?
I mean, I guess you still need to know what inheritance is before you can ask questions about inheritance. That's
sure.
The thing.
I mean,
would it work, for example, if I'm talking about something and I am specifying it like, I want my users to be able to play this, but I don't know, like, what if I am talking to the AI directly saying, but I don't know what's the best practices. Can you tell me what's possible best practices with the pros and cons? Then I go decision management with it. Then I get to move it back. This could kind of help, but still, as a junior, you need to know what you don't know to like ask an AI about that.
So what I'm doing right here is actually super interesting. Sometimes you just want to give it some more context. Just paste the URL in there. Just check out the Dart language class modifiers documentation. And
you should have committed before this.
We can always revert. It's what I like with this without committing is it is giving us this diff view. So whatever it is doing now, it's still in the same diff. So instead of kind of first patching and applying this half working code, we're kind of waiting for it to like make it perfect before allowing it to enter our code base. I think it's going to do a great job, honestly. Like, I have no doubts in my mind. So let's use a sealed class. That's nice. Part all cards. So this might be larger, so I tried to combine the content efficiently. Cool.
I feel like we need to have a small banner going under here saying like he is using really thinking and advanced models that you will not get the same output with a regular agent that you have right now.
Yeah, like it's really a matter of which agent you're using. It just doesn't work to use 10 dumb AIs to try to do one complicated thing. Yeah. That's unfortunately that's how it works. So, but like all the state-of-the-art models are really capable. So Gemini, GPT, Claude, whatever there is, whatever, like there's a ton that do great. We did compare Claude Code to Cursor. I haven't used Claude Code before, to be honest. Actually, I tried it once, and at that time, because Cursor was always using the auto mode, where you only paid like 4 cents per request, which could like be 20 tool calls. I found Claude Code to be super expensive because I hit like one prompt and it cost me like €1 or so. But I honestly now like Cursor is doing the same, so this is probably very similar. I like the IDE part of it, so I wasn't too big of a fan of kind of the command line tool, which I think a lot of some person prefers, people don't. But at the end, I mean, we can be using Claude in here too. It's just a matter of how you want to interact with it. What kind of okay, we need to accept all of these. Yeah, what your preferred way of interacting is. And in this case, like the huge context window of Gemini is really helpful because it's deleting all these files and it needs to keep track and kind of remember what it is deleting before, like needs to re-implement those cards. Oh, no, never mind. It actually already did. It just deleted them afterwards. My bad. Okay, so it's all in one class and it's using the part directive, which is fine. I thought I may wanted to create different files for different card types, but we can easily do that.
To split it back up into separate files, using the part of directive.
So now it's trying to delete. We should remove the old game card since no longer used. Is it not? Oh yeah, it's not. We have the base game card, right? Yeah, it just needs to re-import. Okay, I mean, we can. Are we going to do this ourselves? No, we're not. Okay, let's quickly check what it did before we tell it to change all the code. So it renamed basically our game card into base card, which is fine. We have a new, like the card type is same. We have the game context. Game state context needed for card effects. Like honestly, we don't need that right now. We can just delete it. I actually, okay. Never mind. This is actually super smart, and this is exactly how we want to do it. So instead of kind of passing like a build context or some other Flutter specific object, it's just great to pass like our own context object where we can give it a view of the game. And internally, this allows us to potentially mock it. So for example, the game context could give you access to the widget tree, but if you're running it inside test, it could like just go into like the void and not trigger any effects.
This is actually a good point around writing games. Ideally, a game can be completely run headless, i.e., there is no UI attached to it. So all your game logic and everything else can be completely tested and working without any interaction from a user or any interface whatsoever.
Exactly. So this actually just deleted all of this. So we don't need these anymore because we're now using sealed classes. Card and play, I don't like this either. I like this one. Cool. Now, simplify card and play. It should just be a model which contains a base card plus runtime ID. Cool. And then we also wanna, what else do we wanna do? Card registry. And we don't need any more as base card now sealed, so we can iterate using the sealed class feature. Cool. And then we can kind of
you're still using game class. Game card class, right?
It's renamed to base card right now, but yeah.
Right. But I think I saw it in some files still.
Yeah, it's these ones aren't refactored yet, but I want to get the API cleaned out, and then we'll task the AI to do the cleanup for us. Okay, cool. Card and play, super simple. It has, we can instantiate it. It's going to create a new instance ID. I like this. Now fix the references to use the new base card in. What we can do, of course, it also allows us to do is just do lint errors. We can just tell it to check out the lint errors and go off. Okay. Can cursor automatically execute Git commands? Would it be cool if you could keep track of changes, auto rebase? Yes, it can. So we already did a couple of commands, or it did a couple of commands. It has full access to the terminal where you will need to approve or deny whatever it is doing. You can enable a YOLO mode where you kind of whitelist or blacklist certain commands, which is very helpful. Like sometimes if it wants to do a git status, that's probably safe to do, so you don't need to manually confirm that. But yeah, it can do that. And the files. Okay, let's just manually pass these files over here. Cool.
I like how he just said like YOLO mode for that.
I mean, it's literally called YOLO mode.
It's just like fun to get it named like that. You
I
only
mean, exactly. Do you use Gemini 2.5 free through OpenRouter? Nope. I'm using the paid version in Cursor. It's on the usage-based pricing. Yeah. Well, we can iterate base code inherit class. Can you show how? Yes, as far as I remember, because it's a sealed class, and sealed classes have the property that all the extending classes need to be like strictly defined in the same file or in the same compilation unit. And this allows the Dart compiler to make sure that no outside extender is allowed to extend that card or that class, which allows it to generate some helper functions to like statically iterate all the instances. Let me check. Right, we'll get to that in a sec once the refactor is done. Can this fix mode interact with tools like DCM run tests? Yes, it can. We can do that in a second. What I wanted to do is write some tests for the controller. It can execute commands. Furthermore, what I did in Vite, that I will show more of Vite next week when a couple of things are more ready, is I've actually given the AI a tool to execute UI tests in your real event loop, meaning you can actually see the test as it's happening live, which I think is very valuable, because what I don't like about widget tests or like headless tests is they're great because they're fast, but if something breaks, it's super hard to kind of see what went wrong. And sometimes you're fixing overflow errors, which aren't really there, but just because the testing environment used a 72 by 72 environment or whatever. Yeah. Okay, let's check what's going on over here. Okay.
Vite.
Vite. I mean, this one.
This is Norbert's IDE that he's working on building.
And yeah, right now, I mean, building an IDE and building something that gives you like where you can do everything is like, as you could imagine, a lot of work. So what I'm trying to do right now is implementing it in a way where it's, instead of replacing VS Code, Cursor, IntelliJ, whatever, it's augmenting it. So currently we're mostly using the canvas features and kind of the isolation features. There is an MCP. So I set up Cursor to have MCP connection to this instance, so it can actually interact with the canvas. So in here, we can tell it to place stuff and do stuff, which I can show in a minute. But oh my God, what is happening? Let's tackle.
While you are texting that, I will just get my coffee again. We'll be back. Couple minutes.
Yep. Yeah, Gemini likes to just not do whatever it's saying it will do. So it's like it comes up with a great plan. We're going to implement it this way, and we will consider all of these side effects and so on. And then it's just like, I'm done.
You have to say, just do it.
Yeah, I just told it to, do so. It's, for whatever reason, like a lot of people noted this. I saw a bunch of funny posts on X. It just likes to kind of do that. And in this case, it didn't apply it, but we can apply it ourselves. Nice. This actually looks good. Now the last thing to update are these. Yeah, like these are refactorings, which like they're not complicated. We just have to move files around, do stuff. But it's nice. We're able to have a chat. We're able to kind of talk while it is doing its thing. And I feel like it's just a nice way of coding, if you are like in charge and in control, like we're very much monitoring whatever it's doing. We're not just giving it build us a roguelike deck builder game. We're always there. Okay, this looks good. I think the refactoring should be done. Let's try Okay, this seems to work. We can play a selected card. Nice. We can resolve. Looks good. Let's open the game card widget. Yeah. Looks good to me. Cool. I like it because this is a bigger refactoring. I like to just have a skim. I mean, I'm saying that in a way where it would be weird. We're taking a look at the code, but it's kind of passing the lens. It's like very well defined. So I'm really not too worried about this kind of being messed up. So I think we can just quickly see if there's something really weird going on, but I'm not seeing anything. Card and play, kind of switch to the runtime instances. I like that. It removed this one. We're not using this anymore. That was from the very beginning. Game controller is using cards and play now instead of game cards, which are the runtime variations. The wrapper, which is fine. And now let me give this a look. We have all cards, which is just a catch-all for all the cards, X and space car. These all just print what they're doing right now, which is totally fine. We have the game context, which is to be implemented. Yeah, I mean, this looks good to me. Let's send this off. Nice.
Comment message creation is something I like all the time. Like you just do it in a second, and it's just like.
Yeah, like also I think it's very important to differentiate between important things that you need to like thoroughly check and not so important things. For example, the commit message, like let's say it just made something up which is totally wrong. The kind of the cost of reverting that or like having an issue in there is super low. It's just a commit message. Like who reads commit messages? Some people do, and sometimes it makes sense, but the implications are not that big as if you were refactoring like the core game logic. And in that case, you would be way more careful.
In that case, you have tests, and when it breaks the test, you tend to go fix the tests.
Yes.
Go fix the code to make the test.
So one thing we can do as one of the last things we do, we have our game controller. We don't have any test for it right now, or do we? No, this is just a standard widget test, which we can safely delete. So what I like to do is we just pop this in, write tests, lol.
As long as necessary.
Yeah, that's very important. We want to check out the Silk classes too. But I mean, we can just chug in these. I mean, it's gonna search for them itself, but just to make sure it has all the context, card registry is not needed. Send this off. Okay, so what we can do is how do we iterate all the instances of a seal class? What was the syntax? Do you remember, Simon?
I don't have one for you.
Let me.
I don't think there's actually the language. It's a compile time construct, right? So it's not a runtime construct. I don't think there's a dot values or anything like that, like an enum does.
Let me check if I remember correctly. It was.
I'm happy to be wrong about that, but
all possible. Exactly. Like I don't think it was possible to iterate the subclasses, but you could do exhaustive checks for it. So if you do a switch case, exactly. So yeah, it's not really iterating it, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you want to do some logic for every single subtype, you can use a switch case, which is going to be exhaustive, which is the important part. I mean, iterating the subclasses most of the time isn't that important because I mean, sometimes it could be, but for example, for some sort of,
I suppose you could set up a map, or like if you did get an enum, right? So you could do a map of enum to class.
Yep.
And then iterate the enum and look it up inside the map.
Requirements for the game. That's actually a good point. Didn't think about that one, But honestly, I feel like it encoded a bunch of its knowledge that it had about the game. And to be perfectly fair, like the game requirements that I wrote in the game markdown file are like, I don't want to have them too rigid. It's not like this is how the game's going to be. So I think just having some sort of test set up and that we can quickly look over is probably already enough. But yeah, I mean, it would have been better to give it some more context about the game itself. But maybe it looked for it itself. No, I don't think so. Or
And it's a question for you too. Like, while you're okay, we know like we can use use cases and so on for the regular mobile apps and so on while we are writing for tests whatsoever. But while you're building a game, what is different about in a game logic? Like, do you also want to use cases? Do you also like, how do you define how user gonna play and how would it gonna react and the rules and like write the tests around it? What would be the difference?
Yeah, I think it's really case by case. There's no like blanket answer for this. I feel like in our case, the game in terms of the code that we're writing is more similar to an app than it is to like a game where you have characters running around, sprite sheets playing, bullet physics, where I think you have vastly different testing requirements because it's hard to have a deterministic setup. And sometimes you really do not care if a bullet is exactly flying that, I don't know, floating number errors, compound, and so on. But in this case, like, it's very clear that we have an expected state. It's very similar to like qubit, riverpod thingies, value notifier. I mean, we're literally using value notifier, so it's very app-like. Okay, we can
100% resonate with it, with the mobile knowledge.
So we can check out a couple of these tests, but I don't know. We want to see if the initial state we're in sprint 1, 0 users, 10,000
I
users.
need to run the tests, see if they pass.
Yeah, it's doing it right now.
Oh, it is. I missed that.
It's YOLO. Yeah, I will run the tests for control.
I think. Oh no! It had, I think, some failed tests. I know, all pass. Like, this is so satisfying. It executing tests, noticing that there's issues, fixing them, and I'm like, oh, all tests passed. I don't know. This is just so great.
Like your young brother fix it.
So you find out you refactor all your tests to just like expect true, comma true, or something.
Oh yeah.
like reading these tests and
all tests pass. Oh, dude, new card. You gotta have like play an AI card that like fixes all in-play features or in-play tests or something.
Doesn't guarantee it's fixed correctly.
Like a Joker card that you can just like slap down. Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
That could be fun. Like, also these tests, it's gonna take some time for this for us to kind of check if they all make sense, which we're not gonna do right now. But checking these tests and just making sure that they kind of do the correct thing and they test the correct thing is vastly quicker than writing these tests. Like, just think about the time it would have taken us to write this. So, yep, sounds good. We added tests. So right now, the state of the game is, I think we got the bare bones skeleton up and running. It's not really fun yet whatsoever. We don't have any of the cool card mechanics implemented. Like, it's not doing anything. But I think we have a pretty good...
Like, so that we can see the screen and cards more. Like, that is a small view while you're highlighting the cards. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we cannot do too much right now, but I think we have a great start. We have the skeleton done. We can place selected cards, which is going to the sprint backlog. Like, this view is horrendous. It looks terrible, which is going to be like a big focus on next stream. I think next up we will be implementing some of the basic card effects. The basic game loops is going to be, we want to play features, and then we want to play marketing cards. And then we have a compounding effect of more features, more marketing cards. We get more users. We try to hit the goals. We have some cards which we will introduce slowly that give you card draw, give you more energy. Card idea, new CTO, hours reduced this week to do ceremony. Nice. Yeah, I like this one. I mean, there's a lot of interesting mechanics to be explored with kind of sacrificing time for features, sacrificing features to get more time. Maybe you want to intentionally ship some buggy features to have more features in there and get more users. So that's going to be a big focus of next week. We're going to have a nice kind of general game view and implement some of the actual interactions. Maybe we'll also do some more animations and kind of start making this feel like a game. Like we want everything to animate. If cards pop up, they should have like a nice bouncing animation. If they resolve, they should highlight, they should move around. And last but not least, we'll need to implement some UI. We need some start game, game over, try, retry, run, high score, whatever.
Nice HUD and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think this is in a pretty good shape. I will I'll create a GitHub repository later, or maybe tomorrow. It's getting quite late over here.
Well, make sure you follow Flutter.com or Flutter Community on Twitter/X, and we'll make posts out there. And obviously Norbert can make posts out on his Twitter handle as well, which is on the screen right there.
I think you already had a really good progress, considering, like, you know, firstly, the first streams that go for Kickstart, you answer a lot of initial questions and people are wondering. So it actually slows a lot what you're going to deliver. So probably you would deliver more in further streams. So, but it's already, you have the cards, already you have the setup, animations are there, selection of cards there, tests are there. Like, this is actually when people ask about how productive it is. We also did it by chatting for 3 hours here. Like,
yeah,
you did it actually. Like, we didn't even touch the code with Simon. Like, it's just like one person doing all of them and also catching up with the chat and the comments. Like, it's, yeah, it is productive. Come on. Like,
yeah. What I also really like is we did a bunch of stuff now, and it's nice to just take a break and think about it. Like, I will think about this for the next week. I won't touch the code, I promise, even though I probably want to. And I just think about a couple of things, how we could solve them. And this is what AI allows you to do. It allows you to focus on the really important things and kind of spend real good time on making important decisions and kind of leaving those small pesky manual tasks to your good friend and savior, Gemini/Claude.
whitelisted again.
Also,
All right.
by the way, in the meantime, let me open this up. Can you open up the screen? Yeah. If anybody wants to check out Vide, right now, the canvas feature is quite stable. New update will drop tomorrow, which is going to include the AI back, which is, I played around with it yesterday and today. And like, I was able to one-shot clones of Instagram, Spotify, Snapchat with, like, it was crazy good. It's still pretty early, so join the Discord. I will send out the update over there first. You will get free credits, and if you test and kind of give me feedback, I'm happy to kind of extend more free credits to anybody who wants to try. So be sure to join that. And yeah, apart from that, you can follow me on Twitter, X. Same goes for Simon and Ezra. And yeah, I'll probably do a bunch of tweets and maybe a couple of clips on what we were able to
There'll be lots of stuff coming on this channel over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
For all of the stream things, it's on Norbert's profile. We will be like resharing, adding more stuff out. But yeah, follow him for sure.
All right, exactly. We're going to wrap it up then. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you same time next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.